Pin. Disclaimer. The content presented in this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as financial advice, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always seek the guidance of a qualified financial advisor or expert for any personal finance-related concerns. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organizations or entities with which they are affiliated. The information provided is based on personal experiences and general knowledge as of the video's release date. Please conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. Why personal finance feels like algebra class all over again. You know the feeling, you're sitting there, staring at your budget, and it's like the numbers just won't add up no matter what you do. It's like that math class you barely passed, but with fewer pencils and more late-night online shopping. Real-life anecdote: last week, I spent hours trying to figure out my budget. I calculated, recalculated, and still ended up overspending on the one thing I didn't even need, takeout. So, let's break this down. Why is it so hard to balance a budget? Maybe it's time to stop treating numbers like enemies. Budgeting 101, why it's harder than going on a diet. We all know that budgeting is important. But it's like dieting, you tell yourself I'll cut back on spending, only to find yourself at 3 a.m. buying shoes you don't need. Sound familiar? It's all about temptations, and just like a chocolate cake, your budget can sometimes feel irresistible. Real-life anecdote: have you ever bought something because it was on sale but then found out that it wasn't really a deal? Welcome to the cycle of financial dieting, where we cut down, but always find a way to cheat. How to make your money last when you've already spent it mentally. We've all done it, we mentally spend our paycheck before it even hits the bank. Suddenly, you've already bought the concert tickets, booked a vacation, and pre-ordered the latest gadget. Now, what do you do when reality hits and your account balance is crying for help? Case study: meet Sarah. She booked a lavish trip to the Bahamas in her mind, and then realized she only had enough to buy a round of drinks at a local bar. The struggle is real, but the solution lies in mindfulness and budgeting awareness. The art of spending $20 but feeling like you saved $100. Let's talk about the psychological tricks we play on ourselves. You know that feeling when you spend $20 on something, but then convince yourself it was a super smart financial decision, and you're somehow richer for it? Classic money magic. Relatable example: you've just bought a subscription to a meditation app and a fancy coffee maker, and in your mind, you're already on the path to financial freedom. Meanwhile, your bank account might be crying in the corner. Impulse buying, when you suddenly need a chocolate fountain. Impulse buying, the true enemy of your wallet. It's that moment you see something you didn't know you needed until you saw it, and suddenly you have to buy it. Enter the chocolate fountain, a completely unnecessary purchase, but it felt so right at the time. Personal experience: I've been there, friends, that one-click purchase of a neon sign that says "good vibes only." 2 weeks later, it's collecting dust in my living room. Cash vs. card: why you'll spend less when you see the cash disappear. Ever notice how much harder it is to part with actual cash than it is to swipe a card? It's like magic: when you see your cash physically leaving your hand, you think twice. But when you swipe that plastic, it's like you're living in a fantasy world. Statistic: studies show that people tend to spend up to 30% more when using cards compared to cash. Let's talk about how you can use the psychology to your advantage in managing your finances. The rich people myths: do they really buy avocado toast every day? It's time to debunk the rich people spend frivolously myth. Spoiler alert: they probably don't buy avocado toast for $12 every morning. Instead, they've likely mastered the art of delayed gratification. Let's discuss why the myth of rich people's spending habits often leads to us comparing ourselves unfairly. Case study: Ever wondered how wealthy people seem to stay wealthy while others struggle? It's all about understanding value, long-term financial planning, and knowing when to treat yourself. How to pretend you have your finances together when you don't. Let's be real, nobody has it all figured out. But somehow, we all try to act like we've got our financial lives under control. If you're struggling, don't worry, you're not alone. Today, we'll share some fun, stress-free ways to make your finances look like they're in perfect shape, even when they're not. Humorous example: ever been to a dinner where you're pretending to be cool about splitting the check, but in your head, you're mentally calculating how much you can afford to contribute? Why financial resolutions last for exactly 3 weeks. You started strong. You made your resolutions: save more, spend less. And then, 3 weeks in, the same old habits start creeping back in. What happened? Why do we have such a hard time sticking to financial goals? Real life anecdote: I vowed to track my spending every day in January. Guess what? By the 3rd week, my tracking app was collecting digital dust. Let's break down why financial resolutions are tough to maintain, and how we can make them stick. The paradox of saving money but splurging on treats. Why do we save money only to justify spending it on impulse buys or treats? This paradox is a lot more common than we think. The question is, how can we save effectively without feeling guilty about treating ourselves every now and then? Practical advice: you can still enjoy life's little luxuries without destroying your budget. Here's how you can treat yourself without the guilt or buyer's remorse. Conclusion. So there you have it, personal finance doesn't have to be a struggle. With a bit of humor, some self-awareness, and a few good habits, you can make your money work for you without losing your mind. Remember, it's okay to slip up, but the key is to learn and laugh along the way. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and let me know in the comments what money myths you've fallen for. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Disclaimer: the content presented in this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as financial advice, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always seek the guidance of a qualified financial advisor or expert for any personal finance-related concerns. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organizations or entities with which they are affiliated. The information provided is based on personal experiences and general knowledge as of the video's release date. Please conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. Credit cards: a blessing and a curse. Laughing through the debt. In this hilarious yet informative solo podcast, we explore the love-hate relationship with credit cards. From the thrill of high limits to the horror of interest rates, we delve into the humorous side of credit card rewards, payments, and embarrassing moments. Learn practical tips, laugh at relatable stories, and avoid common credit card traps, all while optimizing for global marketing strategies. Alright folks, grab your credit cards, because today we're diving into the wild world of plastic. Credit cards: they're a blessing and a curse, like that pizza you regret eating at 3 a.m., but somehow still enjoy every time. We've all been there, right? The excitement of that $1,000 credit limit, followed by the dreaded bill that haunts you like a horror movie villain. Today, we're going to laugh at the absurdities of credit cards, but we'll also throw in a few tips to make sure they don't completely ruin your life or your wallet. Disclaimer: the Great Declined Card Incident. So, I was at a coffee shop the other day. Picture this: I'm feeling all fancy, ordering a $6 caramel macchiato like I'm some kind of VIP. I swipe my card with total confidence, you know, that I've got this kind of swipe. But then, the machine flashes red. My heart sinks. It says, declined. And I'm like, what? No way. The barista looks at me like I just tried to pay with Monopoly money. She asks if I have another card, but the only other card I have is a punch card for free coffee, which, you know, isn't going to cut it. I had to awkwardly tell her I'd forgotten my wallet and walk out like I just committed a robbery. Moral of the story: always double check your credit before you go out like you're made of money. The cashback trap. So, I signed up for this amazing cashback credit card. They told me, spend $500 and get 2% cashback. And I thought, wow, I'm gonna be rich. But here's the thing, I started buying everything just to earn that cashback: groceries, a new jacket, a fancy dinner. Fast forward a month later, and I've spent way more than $500. I get my cashback reward, and it's $10. I've essentially bought a $500 jacket to get a $10 refund. It felt like when you spend 30 minutes assembling IKEA furniture, only to realize you did it wrong, and the table's still wobbly. Moral of the story: cashback is like a 90s infomercial. Sounds amazing until you realize the only one making money is the company, not you. The minimum payment trap. I remember this one time when I thought I was being so smart, just making the minimum payment on my credit card bill. I was like, hey, I'm saving money, right? But then, a few months later, I get a letter from the credit card company saying, congratulations, your balance is now almost as high as your student loan debt. I had spent months paying just the minimum, and it felt like I was in a bad relationship. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape. Moral of the story: the minimum payment is the credit card company's way of saying, you're not getting away from us, buddy. The $1,000 credit limit roller coaster. Alright, picture this: first time I got a credit card, they gave me a $1,000 limit. And I felt like I had just been handed the keys to the kingdom. Like, $1,000. I could buy anything. So, naturally, I immediately went to the mall, bought a bunch of stuff I didn't need, and felt like the coolest person in town. But then, the bill came. I stared at the number and thought, wait, I spent that much. Suddenly, my $1,000 credit limit felt more like a $1,000 time bomb. Moral of the story: that initial high is great until the reality of the bill sets in, and suddenly, you're counting the days until payday like it's a countdown to a reality show elimination. Travel rewards gone wrong. I got this travel rewards card because, you know, everyone says, you can travel the world for free. So I'm collecting miles like I'm building a museum of frequent flyer points. One day, I finally try to redeem them for a plane ticket, only to find out that I can't afford the taxes and fees with my miles. So, I'm sitting there, looking at my free ticket, and realizing the only thing free about it is the hope that maybe one day, I'll have enough miles for a cup of airport coffee. Moral of the story: travel rewards cards are like getting a golden ticket, but then realizing it's for the kiddie train in the corner of the theme park. The accidental spending spree. So, I'm sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, and I get this notification: your credit card's been approved for an increased limit. Naturally, I feel like a king. Suddenly, I'm online shopping for things I don't need: throw pillows, fancy kitchen gadgets, random stuff that I'll never use. Next thing I know, I've spent $400 in one sitting, and it wasn't even on a big ticket item. Just a bunch of stuff I thought was cute. I'm sitting there with my order confirmation, staring at it, and thinking, did I just single-handedly keep Amazon in business for the next quarter? Moral of the story: the increase in credit limit might feel like a blessing, but it's really just an invitation to live your life as a walking advertisement for impulse buying. The credit card reward chasing disaster. I've done it. I've fallen into the trap of chasing credit card rewards. The one time I was so obsessed with hitting that bonus for signing up for a new card that I started buying things just for the reward points. I remember buying a blender I didn't need because it was on sale and would get me the points I needed for that sweet bonus. Then, My blender sat in the kitchen collecting dust while I stared at the pile of reward points I earned for literally spending money I didn't need to spend. Moral of the story: credit card rewards are like playing Monopoly. You get excited at first, but in the end, you're just looking for ways to get out of the game without losing too much. Why credit cards are a blessing and a curse. Let's face it, credit cards can be your best friend or your worst enemy. They give you the ability to buy what you want, when you want, but they also give you the ability to dig yourself into debt faster than you can say minimum payment due. Think of them like that friend who convinces you to go out partying, and suddenly you're spending your rent money on tequila shots. Blessing or curse? You decide. I once maxed out my first credit card buying concert tickets and overpriced snacks. I was living the dream until the bill came. Suddenly, that dream turned into a nightmare. Sound familiar? The excitement of a $1,000 credit limit until the bill comes. At first, a $1,000 credit limit feels like you just hit the jackpot. But then, you swipe and swipe until you realize, wait a second, I'm not buying a vacation, I'm buying my way into debt. The bill comes, and suddenly, you wish you'd stuck to saving those dollars for actual things like food and rent. Credit card rewards: why you'll spend $500 to earn a $5 coffee. The joys of credit card rewards. We all think we're going to save the world with those miles or points until we find out we've spent $500 just to get a $5 coffee. It's like being in a relationship with someone who keeps promising you the world but always shows up with a bouquet of weeds. Reward yourself with coffee, but remember those rewards aren't as free as they seem. Real life example. I spent a weekend shopping for rewards points and ended up with a coffee mug collection I didn't even want. Not the reward I was hoping for. The truth about interest rates: they're just legalized punishment. Interest rates the reason you'll never pay off your credit card debt. They make you feel like you're winning by only paying the minimum payment, but trust me, you're just giving away your future for a small moment of joy today. It's like playing a game of Monopoly where the rules are rigged and you always land on the hotel. The fear of checking your credit card statement after a shopping spree. Let's talk about that dreaded moment when you've spent more than you should have, and you know it. You open your statement, hoping for the best, but it's always worse than you imagined. It's like stepping on the scale after the holidays. Spoiler: the bill isn't forgiving. Minimum payment, the sneaky option that ruins your life. The minimum payment seems harmless, right? You only pay a little, and life goes on. But over time, those little payments add up, and you'll end up spending years paying off one pair of shoes you bought on a whim. Minimum payment is the gateway drug to credit card debt. Trust me, run away from it. Why everyone thinks cashback is free money. Cashback, it sounds so tempting. 1% here, 2% there, and we think we're winning. But when you're spending more than you should to earn a little cash back, you're not actually winning. You're just playing yourself. Cashback is only a good deal if you're controlling your spending and not spending to earn points. Travel rewards cards: when you collect miles but can't afford the plane ticket. We all know someone who's always talking about their travel rewards points, but when the time comes to book the flight, the tickets are still $500. You've collected thousands of miles, but they're not getting you anywhere. Travel rewards are great in theory, but reality check: you'll still need to pay for the plane ticket unless you plan your spending wisely. Case study. I tried using my miles for a free flight. Turns out, I needed more miles for free tickets than I could realistically earn in a year. So much for that vacation on a budget. That feeling when you swipe declined in public, embarrassment 101. And who can forget the embarrassment of swiping your card only for the machine to say, declined. There you are, trying to pay for your groceries, and suddenly you're the person everyone's watching. It's not a good feeling, but it happens to the best of us. Just remember, it's not the end of the world. But it might be the end of your pride. So, there you have it, the crazy, chaotic world of credit cards. They can help you, they can hurt you, but if used wisely, they don't have to ruin your life. If you've learned anything from today's podcast, it's this: avoid those minimum payments, don't fall for cashback traps, and never let your rewards points dictate your spending habits. Be smart with your credit cards, and let's all live to swipe another day. Call to action. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit that like button, subscribe for more tips, and share this with your friends who need a good laugh and maybe a good financial wake-up call. Drop your own credit card horror stories in the comments below. Until next time, keep swiping wisely. Disclaimer: the content in this video podcast, Credit Cards, a Blessing and a Curse Laughing Through the Debt, is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed do not constitute financial, legal, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor or expert before making any financial decisions. The examples shared are meant to be humorous and relatable, but they may not reflect the experiences of everyone. We do not endorse or promote irresponsible credit card use, and encourage viewers to manage their finances responsibly. Budget hacks gone wrong, hilarious money-saving fails you can't miss. Laugh out loud with these hilarious money-saving fails and DIY disasters. From duct tape fixes to budget-friendly blunders, this family-friendly comedy is globally relatable and sure to spark joy. When DIY haircuts become catastrophes. You're watching a tutorial on cutting your own bangs. The influencer says, it's easy. Just snip a little here, a little there. Fast forward 15 minutes, and you look like a toddler attacked your head with safety scissors. True story, I once tried this and ended up wearing a hat for a month. The lesson here? Sometimes, paying for a professional is worth it. Unless, of course, you want to give your friends endless meme material. Fixing a broken chair with tape. Duct tape, the universal fixer of all things, or so we think. My cousin once fixed his dining chair with duct tape before Thanksgiving dinner. Let's just say the chair didn't make it through the turkey course. This brings me to the golden rule of DIY repairs: if it involves structural integrity, maybe splurge a little. Or prepare to laugh a lot when things come crashing down literally. Cooking with substitutes, baking soda vs. salt. Have you ever run out of an ingredient and thought, I'll just wing it? One time, I substituted baking soda for salt in cookies. The result? Rock-hard biscuits that could double as paperweights. Budget cooking tip: substitutions are great, unless they defy the laws of chemistry. My advice? Search it before you pour it. DIY home repairs, the $5 fix that became a $500 problem. My neighbor once tried to fix a leaky pipe with a glue gun. Spoiler alert, the pipe burst, and their kitchen turned into a wading pool. The $5 fix turned into a $500 plumber visit. If you're tempted to DIY it, ask yourself, is this a video-worthy fail waiting to happen? If yes, maybe call a professional. Car trouble comedy, using string to replace a broken belt. Finally, the piece de resistance: a guy I know tried replacing a car belt with string to save money. The car worked until it didn't. Imagine being stranded on the highway because your budget hack unraveled. Literally. Lesson learned: cars and string don't mix. Unless you're knitting a sweater, leave the string at home. Recycling old clothes, from trendy to tragic in minutes. We all want to be sustainable, right? But sometimes, turning dad's oversized shirt into a summer dress leaves you looking like you walked straight out of a potato sack convention. Take my friend, Jamie, for example. She tried to make her old jeans into trendy ripped shorts but ended up with something that could pass for a loincloth. Relatable. Coupon collecting chaos, when discounts go wild. There's a fine line between saving money and losing your sanity. Let's talk about extreme couponing. Picture this, you're at checkout with a mountain of goods, but the scanner won't recognize your 50% off coupon. The cashier calls the manager, and before you know it, the line behind you looks ready to start a riot. DIY holiday decorations, when handmade goes haywire. Ah, the joys of homemade holiday decor. It sounds wholesome until you're covered in glitter and your reindeer ornament resembles an alien. Last year, I tried to make a wreath from pine cones. It ended up looking like a porcupine's bad hair day. Upcycling furniture fails, when pallets turn into problems. We've all seen those social media boards filled with stunning pallet furniture. But let's be real, some of us end up with splinters and chairs that collapse mid-dinner. My neighbor once tried to build a coffee table, and now it's a modern art sculpture in his backyard. Homemade cleaning products gone hilariously wrong. Making your own cleaning products is great until you mix vinegar and baking soda in a closed container. Boom. Let's not forget the time I tried using lemon juice to clean my microwave. Spoiler alert, it smelled like burnt citrus for weeks. Fixing leaks with chewing gum, a comedy of errors. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2 a.m., and water is dripping onto your kitchen floor. What do? Call a plumber? Nah. You grab gum. Chewing gum fixes everything, you think. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Dive into a skit of someone shoving gum into a leaky pipe. Moments later, the pressure builds, the pipe bursts, and chaos ensues, complete with a soaking wet eureka moment. Chewing gum is great for fresh breath, not waterproofing your kitchen. Hilarious DIY gift wrapping ideas that nobody asked for. Using old newspapers, aluminum foil, or even toilet paper rolls as eco-friendly wrapping paper. Imagine someone delivering a beautifully wrapped gift, only to have the recipient open it and find duct tape stuck to the present. Sure, you saved money on wrapping paper, but the look on Aunt Carol's face? Priceless. Budget birthday parties, from thrifty to totally awkward. A birthday cake made out of pancakes or a piñata that's just an old cereal box filled with trail mix. Walk through a budget-friendly party that includes reusing balloons from 3 birthdays ago, only for them to deflate mid-celebration. Saving money is cool, but you don't have to throw a party so awkward even your pet looks embarrassed. Repairing electronics with glue, the ultimate budget fail. One time, I tried fixing my TV remote with hot glue. Now it only changes channels when I tap it with a hammer. Show someone gluing a laptop hinge back together, only to realize they've accidentally sealed the USB ports shut. Electronics plus glue equals expensive regret. Hilarious gardening hacks that turned into epic fails. A person creates a DIY sprinkler out of a soda bottle, which works for 2 seconds before becoming a high-pressure geyser. Or that one time I tried planting tomatoes using coffee grounds and eggshells, except the neighborhood squirrels decided it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. DIY home office, when cardboard becomes a desk. Imagine the pandemic hits, and you're stuck working from home. What do you do when IKEA feels like a distant dream? You make a desk out of cardboard. But wait, who knew your coffee mug would be the straw that broke the cardboard? A friend of mine once used cereal boxes to construct a monitor stand. It lasted until lunchtime, collapsing under the weight of optimism and poor engineering. Cheap wedding hacks, when frugality steals the show. From DIY flower arrangements made of tissue paper to bring your own meal receptions, budget weddings are the epitome of chaotic good. One bride created her bouquet out of used lottery tickets. Talk about a gamble on love. An awkward cake made of stacked pancakes that toppled during the couple's first dance. Spoiler, syrup doesn't double as icing. Using old books for DIY projects, from art to awkward. Turning vintage novels into home decor sounds romantic until you accidentally glue War and Peace to your coffee table. A DIY enthusiast once transformed an old encyclopedia into a lamp. The light bulb placement made it look like the book was on fire. Instead of ruining classics, try paperbacks. When reusing old jars goes too far, a kitchen comedy. Jars are versatile, or so they say. Until you try to use a mason jar as a cocktail shaker and end up with sticky hands and shattered glass. Social media gone wrong, someone created a jar chandelier that fell mid-dinner party. The lighting was dim, the embarrassment was not. Stick to jam storage. Let jars be jars. The Great Mattress Flip, Budget Hacks for Better Sleep. Flipping a mattress sounds easy, right? Not when it's 20 years old and has springs that poke like they're auditioning for a horror movie. My neighbor's attempt to double flip their mattress ended with it stuck halfway down the stairs. Comedy gold for everyone except their cat. Just don't. Buy a foam topper instead of risking DIY spinal alignment. Thrift store treasures turned comedy disasters. Thrift shopping is like a treasure hunt. Except the treasure is a cursed porcelain doll that ends up haunting your dreams. A guy bought what he thought was a designer lamp for $10. Turned out it was a coffee pot with a bulb stuck inside. Sometimes, frugality is its own punishment. Common disclaimer. Disclaimer, the content in this video is for comedic purposes only. It does not encourage unsafe practices or financial mismanagement. All scenarios are fictional and intended to bring humor to everyday situations. Viewer discretion is advised. Insurance Humor Unplugged, laughing through the fine print. Join us for a hilarious podcast where we demystify insurance with humor. From Shakespearean policies to sanity-losing claims, let's make sense of the nonsense. Hello and welcome to Insurance Humor Unplugged, the comedy podcast where we dive into the absurd world of insurance, one laugh at a time. I'm Sam, your friendly, slightly confused guide to the labyrinth of policies, premiums, and deductibles. Today, we'll unravel why insurance is like paying rent for things you don't use, why comprehensive coverage is never quite comprehensive. Stick around for anecdotes, practical insights, and a few laughs as we explore the hilarious side of insurance. The speed bump confusion. A guy I know filed a car insurance claim, insisting his car was totaled because of a massive speed bump in his neighborhood. When the adjuster showed up, they found out he had driven into an actual concrete divider. His explanation? It was dark, and it felt like a speed bump. The insurance company covered the damage but gave him a stern reminder: speed bumps don't usually take out the front end of your car. The fine print fiasco. I overheard someone bragging about having comprehensive insurance for his house. A storm hit, and a tree fell into his living room. When he called the company, they politely informed him that his policy covered trees falling on cars in the driveway but not trees falling into the house. His response: so next time, I should park my car inside and hope the tree hits it first. The deductible discovery. A neighbor bought travel insurance for her first international trip. She sprained her ankle hiking but was thrilled knowing her expenses would be covered. When she submitted her claim, the insurance company reminded her of the $500 deductible. The sprain cost her $498. She told me later, I paid $50 for the insurance, $498 for the doctor, and got zero peace of mind. Next time, I'm just buying bubble wrap. The burglary blunder. A friend of mine once tried to file a burglary claim when his expensive watch went missing. The insurance investigator found it funny when the stolen watch turned up inside the fridge. He had forgotten he put it there while cleaning. The investigator left him with some parting advice: next time, insure your memory first. The DIY disaster clause. A man once tried to fix a leaking pipe himself to avoid filing a homeowner's insurance claim. The DIY job went horribly wrong, flooding his entire kitchen. When the plumber came to assess the damage, he said, "Well, the good news is your insurance might cover this. The bad news is they don't insure ego-driven plumbing experiments." The invisible car claim. A woman tried to file an auto insurance claim, saying her car had been stolen from right outside her house. After a tense 30 minutes of back and forth, the insurance agent gently suggested she double-check her garage. Sure enough, the car was parked there. She had forgotten she drove it home the night before. She quipped, "So I'm not getting the payout, but at least I'm insured against my own bad memory." The lost luggage luck. A traveler's luggage went missing, so he filed a travel insurance claim for $2,000 worth of designer clothing. Weeks later, his bag was returned by the airline, but it only contained flip-flops, cargo shorts, and a single Hawaiian shirt. When the insurance company asked about the discrepancy, he said, "What can I say? My cargo shorts feel designer to me." The umbrella clause confusion. A man purchased an umbrella insurance policy and genuinely thought it meant coverage for his actual umbrella collection. When his prized designer umbrella was stolen, he called his insurance company, only to learn that umbrella in this case referred to liability protection, not rain gear. His response, "So, does that mean I need a rain liability waiver too?" The act of God argument. After a hurricane damaged her roof, a woman called her insurance company to ask why her claim wasn't fully covered. The agent explained it was classified as an act of God. She replied, "So if I convert to atheism, does that mean you'll cover it next time?" The wedding ring mix-up. A man bought a jewelry insurance policy for his wife's engagement ring. A few months later, he accidentally dropped it into the garbage disposal. While filing the claim, he joked, "So does this policy include husband stupidity? Because I think that's an ongoing risk." The pre-existing condition drama. A woman applied for health insurance and was asked about pre-existing conditions. She jokingly said, "Well, I've had bad knees since my son started crawling and a bad back since he turned 13. The agent, trying to be serious, responded, "Ma'am, that's called parenting, not a pre-existing condition. The comprehensive doesn't cover everything." A man was livid when his car insurance wouldn't cover the scratches caused by a raccoon climbing onto his hood. "But I have comprehensive insurance," he protested. The agent replied, "Yes, but unfortunately, raccoons don't read policy terms and conditions." The unnecessary add-on. An elderly gentleman proudly showed his grandson his car insurance policy, which included coverage for emergency roadside assistance. His grandson pointed out, "Grandpa, you haven't driven in 10 years. Grandpa shrugged, "Well, I might need the tow for my wheelchair someday." The health insurance gym incentive. A man signed up for a health insurance plan that offered a discount for attending the gym regularly. When the company asked for proof, he submitted a picture of him sitting in the gym's juice bar. The insurer declined his discount, saying, "Juice counts as hydration, not exercise." The home security overkill. A homeowner once installed a state-of-the-art security system and boasted to his insurance company about how safe his house was. When he accidentally locked himself out and had to smash his own window to get in, he tried to file a claim. The insurance company said, "Sorry, we don't cover self-inflicted burglaries." The rental car roulette. A man rented a car and was offered insurance at the counter. He declined, saying, "I'm a careful driver." An hour later, he called the rental company to report the car stolen, only to discover he had parked it in the wrong lot and forgotten where. He joked, "Next time, I'm insuring my memory, not the car." The flood insurance fail. A woman who lived on the top floor of an apartment building tried to file a claim for flood damage after her upstairs neighbor's fish tank burst. The insurance agent had to explain that flood insurance only applies to natural disasters, not goldfish tsunamis. The lost wedding dress saga. A bride bought wedding insurance just in case. When her dress got lost at the dry cleaners the day before the wedding, she panicked and called the insurer. They informed her that wedding insurance doesn't cover laundry mishaps, only cancellations. She groaned, "So I can't cancel the wedding, but I can walk down the aisle in sweatpants." Insurance policies, like reading Shakespeare, but more confusing. Let's face it, Insurance policies are written in a language even lawyers need Google Translate for. Remember my first car insurance policy? I thought comprehensive meant everything's covered. Spoiler, it doesn't. Relatable tip: break down your policy into sections. If it feels like Hamlet, call customer support, they're your modern day Yorick. Why insurance is like paying rent for things you don't even use. You pay monthly for car insurance, but when was the last time you actually needed it? It's like paying rent for an empty apartment just in case you're in the mood for a party. Real life anecdote: my friend Dave kept full coverage on his 15-year-old sedan. The car broke down, and the insurance didn't cover mechanical repairs. Moral: know what you're paying for. The just-in-case mentality. Spending $1,000 annually on premiums to prepare for a $10 incident feels ironic. But isn't that what insurance thrives on? Fear. Practical insight: balance your risk. Higher deductibles mean lower premiums, but are you prepared for the out-of-pocket expenses? Insurance agents, selling peace of mind, one page of fine print at a time. Ever noticed how insurance agents always emphasize the peace of mind aspect? I once joked that their training manual probably says, smile, confuse, and conquer. Case study: insurance ads focus on emotions, not details. Lesson: ask direct questions and demand clear answers. Why insurance forms have 12 pages of yes and no questions. Filling out insurance forms feels like a quiz where all answers are wrong. Have you ever owned a pet snake? Why does that matter? Humorous tip: keep a running FAQ document of your own answers. It'll save you hours. Insurance claims, a step-by-step guide to losing your sanity. Ah, the joy of claims. File a claim, wait 60 days, receive a letter requesting more documents, repeat. Example: a neighbor's tree fell on my roof. The insurance company argued it was an act of God. Lesson: always read the exclusions. The myth of comprehensive coverage. Did you know comprehensive insurance doesn't cover everything? The name itself is the first joke. Pro tip: compare policies online and look for hidden exclusions. Use independent reviews for clarity. Why people buy insurance but still panic when something happens. You have coverage, but when disaster strikes, you're Googling "does my policy cover this?" because you're not sure. Practical insight: know your deductible and out-of-pocket limits. Write them down somewhere visible. How to pretend you understand your deductible. The deductible, that confusing middle ground where you're paying, but the insurance company isn't. Quick guide: think of the deductible as your entry fee. If your claim doesn't meet it, your insurance is basically there for moral support. When you finally realize, insurance doesn't mean free repairs. This misunderstanding might top the list of insurance myths. Insurance companies don't fix everything for free, they just negotiate the bill with you. Pro insight: learn about reimbursement limits. Avoid assumptions and call your insurer for clarity. Conclusion: insurance doesn't have to be a boring, stress-inducing topic. With a little humor and practical understanding, you can navigate policies like a pro, or at least avoid total confusion. Don't let the fine print intimidate you. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend who could use a laugh, and subscribe for more comedic takes on life's everyday puzzles. Call to action: have an insurance story that's stranger than fiction? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes of Insurance Humor Unplugged. Disclaimer: the content shared in this podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. While we strive to bring humor to the often confusing world of insurance, the information presented should not be considered professional advice, guidance, or recommendations regarding insurance policies, claims, or coverage. Listeners are encouraged to consult a licensed insurance professional or advisor for specific questions or concerns about their individual insurance needs. By listening to this podcast, you agree that the creators, hosts, and contributors are not responsible for any decisions or actions taken based on the content of this show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the humor responsibly. Why paying off debt feels like bailing water out of a sinking ship. The hilarious truth about loans and debt. Struggling with debt? Tune in to discover the real reasons why paying off loans feels like an uphill battle. From student loans to payday loans, join us for a comedic yet insightful take on navigating the world of personal finance, with tips and laughs along the way. Don't miss out on the fun and practical advice. Welcome to today's episode where we dive into the weird, wild world of loans and debt, something we all love to hate. I'm your host, and today we're exploring why paying off debt often feels like trying to bail water out of a sinking ship. Yes, that's right, folks, buckets in hand, and the water keeps coming. If you're drowning in debt, whether it's from student loans, credit cards, or that never-ending car loan, this episode's for you. I'll be cracking some jokes, sharing some real-life stories, and, of course, dropping some practical tips on how to dig yourself out of this hole. But before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this roller coaster of laughter and finance advice is about to get wild. The budget-friendly vacation that became a debt disaster. So, a friend of mine thought she was being super smart by taking out a personal loan for a vacation. You know, budget-friendly, she says. But here's the thing, she didn't budget for the interest. After her affordable trip to the beach, she came home to find out that the vacation ended up costing 10 times more in interest than the actual hotel room. The vacation was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, but instead, she came back to a mountain of bills. I mean, if you're going to be drowning in debt, at least it should be from something fun, like buying a yacht, right? Not a couple of days in a beachside bungalow where the only thing more expensive than the ocean view was her loan payment. The family loan that turned into a soap opera. Borrowing money from family, what could go wrong, right? Well, let me tell you about the time I borrowed money from my cousin to help pay off a small debt. It seemed simple at the time. But fast forward a few months, and I'm getting calls from Aunt Linda, texts from Uncle Bob, and even Facebook messages from my cousin, all with the same question: when are you paying us back? It became like a soap opera, with every family gathering turning into an episode of The Bold and the Broke. One day, my cousin even showed up at my house unannounced, holding a cake and a spreadsheet. I think it was a metaphorical cake with a side of guilt trip. Moral of the story? Borrowing from family is like playing a game of Monopoly. You think it's fun until someone flips the board. The credit card reward genius move. So, there's this guy I know who thought he cracked the code on credit card rewards. He was all like, I'm going to get cash back on everything. He started using his credit card for the smallest purchases, like buying a pack of gum, a single coffee, even a $3 can of soda. He was on cloud nine until the bill came. He realized his cash back was not covering the interest charges on his monthly purchases, and he was now living the dream of paying off a credit card bill that was twice as high as his grocery bill. Lesson learned: those rewards are only worth it if you're not treating your credit card like a free pass to buy everything in the store, twice. The loan officer who became an unintentional comedian. I once went to a bank to talk about a loan, nothing fancy, just a small personal loan. The loan officer, trying to be all reassuring, said, "Don't worry, you'll be able to pay this off in no time." Then, with a serious look on his face, he added, "You just need to make small payments, for the next 12 years. I kid you not, I almost asked him if he had a hidden camera, because that sounded like a comedy sketch. I was like, so, you're telling me that I'll be making payments until I'm eligible for a senior citizen discount? It was like the loan was a never-ending subscription service. Somehow, a personal loan turned into a subscription to debt monthly. The payday loan that turned into a game of catch me if you can. You know those payday loans? The ones that promise to get you through a rough week, but in reality, they just get you through a few sleepless nights. Well, I have a friend who once took one out because he was a little short on cash. He was like, "I'll just pay it back next paycheck." Fast forward to the next payday, and suddenly he's taking out another payday loan to pay off the first one. It was like a game of catch me if you can. He started calling it his debt juggling act. The only problem? No one was impressed by his ability to juggle bills instead of actual flaming torches. He ended up getting caught in a cycle of borrowing just to pay the interest on the loan. Moral of the story: if you're juggling debt, at least make it look like a circus act, or people will start wondering where the exit is. The small car loan that turned into a life sentence. I once knew a guy who took out a car loan for a shiny new ride, and the dealer was all like, "Don't worry, this car is so affordable, you'll barely notice the payment." He thought he was getting a deal. But here's the thing, the payment wasn't small. The loan term was what was small, like, "You'll be paying it off until the car is worth less than the interest we've charged you." 6 years later, he still had that car, but the interest had outlived the car's actual value. He called it his life sentence on wheels. Honestly, the only thing he could afford after that loan was a 2-minute drive to the bank every month to make his payment. The buy now, pay later plan that lasted a lifetime. I have a friend who once bought a high-end blender using one of those buy now, pay later deals. She was all excited. "I'm finally going to make those fancy smoothies," she said. Fast forward to 6 months later, and not only had she not made a single smoothie, but the blender was still sitting in its box in the corner. She was paying off that blender every month, and it felt like she was getting charged interest for each fruit she could have blended. It was as if the blender was the most expensive decorative piece in her kitchen. She finally paid it off, and to celebrate, she treated herself to a new blender because why not, right? The foolproof debt consolidation plan. I had a cousin who thought he had the perfect solution for all his debt consolidation. He was sold on the idea of combining everything into one easy payment. But here's the thing, he missed the small print. The one easy payment? It had an interest rate higher than his original debt. So, after a year of consolidation, he found out his one payment was actually the price of getting a second mortgage. He joked that it was like buying a house, except he didn't actually get the house, just a lifetime of payments. To this day, he tells people, debt consolidation because who doesn't want one giant mountain of debt instead of a few small hills? The unseen interest on a loan. There's this guy I know who took out a loan for a small business venture. He thought he was getting a great deal with low interest, but when the bill came, he was in for a surprise. The interest was so high, it was like the loan was secretly breeding interest in the background, like compound interest on steroids. His payment was only covering the interest, so every month felt like he was feeding a hungry monster that was just getting bigger. He joked that his loan had a better social life than he did, always meeting new people in the form of interest charges. Moral of the story? If the interest rate looks too good to be true, it probably comes with an invisible clause that says, "Surprise, you owe more than you thought." The car loan that got way too real. I had another friend who thought he was being super smart by financing a car. He was all excited about the low monthly payments, but what he didn't factor in was the loan term. It was so long, he joked that he'd still be paying off the car long after the wheels had fallen off. He said, "It's like they sold me a car and a subscription to debt." Fast forward a couple of years, and that car was no longer new while his payments were still shiny and fresh. He eventually traded the car in for a used model, and to his surprise, the monthly payment didn't shrink at all. In fact, it grew, because who doesn't need another loan to go with their new debt? The invisible payday loan. One of my friends thought payday loans were a simple, quick fix. Just borrow a little, pay it back next week, and everything's fine, right? Well, after taking out a payday loan, he was blindsided by the repayment amount, which, as it turns out, was way more than he borrowed. When he asked the payday loan office, they just shrugged and said, "It's a fee. It's how we make sure you come back for more." He jokingly started calling them the invisible loans because it felt like you were borrowing nothing, but poof, by the time you paid them back, your paycheck had vanished. It was like the loan was a magic trick. You borrow a little, but your wallet disappears faster than you can say interest rate. The family loan with too many conditions. Okay, so borrowing money from family members is a classic please, don't do it situation. But one time, I took a loan from my brother for a car repair. I thought, easy, I'll pay him back in a couple of months. A few weeks later, he asked, "When are you paying me back?" Okay, fair enough. But then he started getting creative with the conditions. First, he wanted me to mow his lawn, then walk his dog, and finally, he asked me to help him paint his fence just before asking for repayment. It felt like a never-ending series of tasks straight out of a bad game show. You won the loan, now complete these 4 challenges to unlock the next level. After all that, I had paid him back in favor points rather than cash. At this point, I think I owe him for about 10 years of lawn mowing and dog walking. Why paying off debt feels like bailing water out of a sinking ship. So picture this, you've got a bucket, you're bailing like mad, but no matter how fast you work, the water just keeps coming in. Sound familiar? That's your debt in a nutshell. Whether it's credit card balances, loans with sky-high interest rates, or just the sheer volume of monthly payments, getting rid of debt often feels like a never-ending task. I mean, why does it feel like the more you pay, the more there is to pay? Let's break down the feeling of trying to stay afloat. Real life: a friend who took out a personal loan for a vacation, only to find that the vacation cost 10 times more in interest than the actual trip. Ouch. Student loans, the friend that stays with you for life. Student loans, the gift that keeps on taking. Why does it feel like they're always there? Even after graduation, when you're deep into your career, those pesky loans don't seem to go away. And then there's the constant reminder from your bank account every month. I mean, come on, I just got my degree. Can't I get a break? Case study: the rise of student loan debt and its implications on millennials' financial health. Why it takes decades to pay off and what can be done to manage it better. How loan interest makes a $1,000 purchase feel like $5,000. Loan interest is like a silent thief in the night. You think you're making a small purchase, but by the time the loan is paid off, it's like you bought a luxury car instead of a pair of sneakers. Let's talk about how interest rates turn small debts into financial black holes. How an interest rate of 24% turned a reasonable $1,000 credit card balance into a 5-year nightmare. Why banks think you can afford loan payments you clearly can't. The classic approved for a loan moment. The bank's like, sure, you can afford it. But when the payment due date comes, your paycheck says, wait, what? Let's talk about how banks sometimes have no clue how much you're actually bringing in each month. Example, case study on predatory lending and how easy it is to get approved for loans when you clearly shouldn't be. Car loans, when you own the car, but the bank owns you. You're driving that shiny new car, but when you get home, there's a hefty bill waiting for you. And the bank? Well, they're just waiting for their next payment. Owning a car feels more like renting from the bank, doesn't it? Relatable example: buying a car on a loan and realizing after a year that the car's depreciation makes it feel like you're paying for an overpriced parking spot. Consolidating debt, like trying to untangle 1,000 Christmas lights. Debt consolidation is supposed to make things simpler, but it often feels like you're trying to untangle 1,000 Christmas lights. You get one debt under control, and then another one pops up. Personal story: how consolidating credit card debt might look like a solution, but can come with its own set of complications and hidden fees. Payday loans, when you learn that desperation comes at 400% APR. Ah, payday loans, the quick fix that ends up making things worse. High interest rates and repayment terms that trap you. If you've ever been desperate enough to take one, you know what I mean. Example, why payday loans are often considered a financial disaster and the consequences of using them as a quick fix. Borrowing money from family, a comedy of awkwardness and guilt. Sometimes, the best way to get out of debt is to borrow money from your family. But that's a slippery slope, isn't it? The awkward conversations, the guilt, and the constant reminders of the loan every time you meet them. The funny, yet uncomfortable situation when borrowing money from family gets awkward, and how to avoid it in the future. Why loan repayment plans seem designed to test your patience. Why does it feel like every loan repayment plan is set up to test how much frustration you can handle? We're talking about long repayment periods, sky-high interest rates, and monthly bills that make you want to throw in the towel. Relatable situation, real examples of repayment plans that seem to drag on forever, especially when you're paying off high-interest loans. If you're feeling like you need to tackle that sinking ship of yours, remember that you're not alone. We all face the same struggles when it comes to money, loans, and debt. But with a little humor, some clever strategies, and maybe a few more episodes of this podcast, you'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more hilarious takes on the financial world, and leave a comment telling me about your debt drama. Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, debt doesn't define you, but how you handle it can. Disclaimer. The content shared in this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The views, opinions, and humor expressed not intended to provide professional financial advice. While we aim to offer valuable insights, we encourage you to consult with a licensed financial advisor, debt counselor, or legal professional before making any financial decisions. The podcast is intended to bring attention to the realities of debt and loans in a humorous and relatable way, but it does not guarantee accuracy or applicability to your individual financial situation. Texting fails, office chaos, and family drama, how communication goes hilariously wrong. Ever accidentally start a war with just a K? Or maybe you've misread a text and thought someone was breaking up with you. From autocorrect disasters to email blunders and office chaos, this podcast dives into all the funny, awkward, and downright confusing moments in communication. Get ready to laugh, cringe, and nod in recognition as we explore the everyday mess that is texting, emails, calls, and more. Communication mishaps we've all had, a comedy breakdown. Whether you're texting your friend, emailing your boss, or trying to sound cool in a formal message, we've all been there, misinterpreting, miscommunicating, and, let's face it, just plain messing things up. Today, we're diving into the hilarious world of communication mishaps that happen daily, from autocorrect disasters to the text that says K and somehow spirals into an argument. And trust me, we've all been there. So, grab your headphones, get comfy, and let's laugh our way through these everyday communication fails. When autocorrect turns you into a poet by accident, imagine typing a simple text to your friend saying "can't wait for lunch," but your phone decides to get all Shakespearean on you, turning that into "can't wait for this magnificent repast." You'd think your phone was auditioning for a literary award. Funny. Yes. Useful. Not so much. Let's talk about how we can laugh about it, but also how autocorrect can cost you a job opportunity when it changes meaning to something else entirely. Social media. I once sent a message that said, "Let's grab lunch at noon," autocorrected to "Let's grab lunch at nudes." Yup. That was an awkward conversation to clean up. How a simple K can spark a texting war. We've all sent the dreaded K. That simple, one-letter response that has sent relationships into turmoil. Is it passive-aggressive? Is it rude? Does it mean, "I'm done with this conversation"? Let's unpack how a single letter can cause texting wars, and why context is everything in the world of emojis, abbreviations, and quick texts. Social media. A friend once texted me a long paragraph about their day, and I responded with a K. That was it. A 5-minute message boiled down to one letter. Can you guess how that conversation went? Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. The art of misinterpreting sarcasm over text. Sarcasm is hard enough to understand in person. Add text, and it's a minefield. You might think you're being clever with a sarcastic comment, but your friend reads it in the most literal way possible. We've all had that moment when we realize that our "oh, great" actually sounded like "I'm so mad I could scream." Social media. Ever texted, "Oh, just great"? And somehow, the person you're texting thinks you're genuinely excited? Yeah, I've been there. When someone says let's talk and you know it's serious, we've all received the let's talk text. Whether it's from a friend, a partner, or, gulp, your boss, that simple phrase instantly raises your anxiety level. What could it be? A breakup? A job firing? A lecture about your email habits? You just know it's going to be intense. But don't panic. Let's laugh about how we all interpret that phrase in the most extreme ways. Why voice notes are either 10 seconds or 10 minutes. No in between. Voice notes are a new breed of communication. You either get a brief, 10-second message, or you're stuck listening to a 10-minute monologue. There's no happy medium. You press play, and either it's a short answer or you've just started a podcast episode with one person. Social media. I sent a voice note that was supposed to be a quick update but ended up being a rambling 12-minute tale about my shopping experience. The listener was not amused. When you reread your own email and realize you sound angry, we've all been there. You've carefully crafted the perfect email in a professional tone, but when you read it back, it sounds like you're ready to rip someone's head off. And now you have to rewrite it without sounding like a robot or a psychopath. Let's talk about the art of editing our email tone and not making it sound like we've had too much coffee. Calls, when you're muted, becomes the new catchphrase. Let's face it, we've all been on a or work call where someone's speaking passionately about a topic, but their mic is muted. "You're muted" has become the new catchphrase of the digital age. Let's dive into the humor of virtual meetings and how we all secretly hate them, yet we keep scheduling them. The eternal struggle of trying to sound casual in a formal email. Trying to sound casual but still professional in a formal email is a delicate balancing act. Do you go for the "hi there," or the "dear sir/madam"? And when you close, do you sign off with "best, cheers," or "warm regards"? We'll talk about that line between being too stiff and too familiar, and how to avoid sounding like you've completely missed the mark. How group chats always go off topic within 2 minutes. Group chats are meant to be for serious discussions, right? Wrong. Within 2 minutes, everyone's talking about their pets, their favorite memes, or debating pineapple on pizza. Let's laugh about how quickly we abandon the original topic in group chats. When "let's catch up soon" actually means "see you in 3 years." Ever had someone text you "let's catch up soon" and you know it's a polite way of saying, "I'm not actually going to make any effort to meet up anytime soon"? Let's explore how soon often translates to maybe next decade. Workplace communication comedy hour. We've all been there, sitting in a meeting, staring blankly at the screen while a corporate speak hurricane whirls around you. From "per my last email" to "can I see you in my office," workplace communication is full of traps, misunderstandings, and, of course, comedy gold. In this episode, we'll dive into the funniest and most awkward moments that make the workplace an endless source of humor. So grab your coffee, or whatever helps you get through those conference calls, and let's get to it. Why "per my last email" is office code for "can you not?" Let's be real, "per my last email" isn't just a polite reminder, it's a passive-aggressive nudge that says, "Are you even reading my emails?" It's the unspoken code that lets you know you've just crossed a line in email etiquette. Ever had one of those emails that made you question your life choices? Let's laugh at how this line is the universal weapon of passive office aggression. The struggle of keeping a straight face in pointless meetings. The endless cycle of meetings that could have been emails. We all know the type. Let's discuss the project timeline, when the only timeline is your calendar reminding you of how many hours you'll never get back. Let's talk about how to keep a straight face when people throw around jargon with absolutely no purpose. How everyone becomes a professional copy-paster in team chats. You've seen it, that one person who's got their finger on copy-paste faster than you can say team synergy. The constant repetition of phrases like "I'll follow up on that" and "noted" can give anyone a case of repetitive stress disorder. Real-life examples? Absolutely. Let's get into it. Touching base, why every email needs this phrase. If you've ever sent or received an email that includes the phrase touching base, then you know it's time for a generic update that's about as useful as a paperclip in a hurricane. We'll dissect how this phrase became corporate code for "I'm too busy to do anything, but I'm still here." When your boss sends a "Can I see you in my office?" email. Oh, the dreaded email. This simple phrase is the email equivalent of a horror movie jump scare. We'll share the classic reaction: "Did I forget something? Did I make a mistake?" Spoiler alert, it's usually nothing, but the anxiety it causes is comedy gold. Decoding corporate speak, what "we'll circle back" really means. We'll circle back on that, a phrase that has no actual meaning but still somehow makes you feel like you're in the loop. Ever wonder what that really means? Spoiler alert, it usually means we've forgotten about it, and we don't really care. When someone hits reply all by mistake. The reply all button, the most terrifying button in the corporate world. One wrong click and suddenly, your personal thoughts on that hilarious meme are shared with your entire office. Let's laugh at how reply all has ruined many a professional reputation. Conference calls, where everyone talks and no one listens. Let's be honest, we've all been on conference calls where everyone's talking, but no one's actually listening. It's the ultimate game of who can talk the longest without saying anything of importance. It's like a sport, only more awkward. The awkwardness of mispronouncing a colleague's name twice. Calling a colleague by the wrong name once. Embarrassing. Twice. It's a corporate tragedy. We all know the struggle of mispronouncing a name and then having to pretend you didn't just make it worse. Why everyone lies about having great communication skills on resumes. We've all seen it, the resume boasting excellent communication skills from someone who can barely string a sentence together. Let's have a laugh about how this phrase gets tossed around more than a frisbee at a picnic. Social media communication. Social media. How a seen message feels like a punch to the heart. The dreaded seen notification on messaging apps. You've just sent a heartfelt message, and seconds later, the cold, emotionless seen stamp appears. But wait, why haven't they replied? We've all been there. It's like the social media version of ghosting but with a passive-aggressive twist. Real-life examples like texting a friend about meeting up for dinner and them casually seeing it without responding become comically awkward moments for us all. Instagram comments, where emojis replace real words. Let's face it, Instagram comments have become a language of their own. Emojis are the new punctuation, and the thumbs up is practically a full sentence. But here's the kicker, people have been debating the subtle differences between the fire emoji and the heart emoji. Each one holds a deeper meaning. Are you encouraging a friend's workout progress with the flex emoji, or just showing appreciation with the clapping hands? Let's dive into the awkward world of overanalyzing emojis. The dangers of posting before proofreading. Ever posted something, only to realize it had a glaring typo or autocorrect disaster? We've all experienced the cringe moment when you post a text, only for the internet to remind you how very wrong you are. Typos aren't just embarrassing, they can lead to some of the most awkward replies and social media blunders. Let's talk about the importance of proofreading before hitting that post button. Why people argue in Facebook comments like they're in court. There's something about Facebook comment sections that turns casual conversations into heated debates. Someone's opinion on a seemingly harmless topic will get a 10-comment long defense, like it's the Supreme Court. Let's explore the psychology behind Facebook arguments, why people take offense over minor issues, and how we can find humor in it all. The struggle of replying to a story without sounding stalkerish. Responding to someone's story feels like a game of social media Jenga. One wrong move, and it's game over. You don't want to come off as creepy, but you also don't want to seem indifferent. We'll share tips on how to reply without looking like you're lurking, plus how to strike that perfect balance between casual and engaged. How one missed like on your friend's post becomes a big deal. You might think it's just a small gesture, but missing a like on a friend's post can snowball into an all-consuming issue. Did they see my post? Why didn't they like it? Let's laugh through the social media politics of liking and why it's such a big deal. No one's safe from the likeception. The people who send good morning messages in every group chat. Some people wake up with the need to tell everyone in the group chat good morning. But when the chat's been silent for days, the awkwardness skyrockets. Let's explore why this daily tradition has turned into the social media equivalent of a group hug, and whether there's such a thing as too much positivity. When you accidentally like a post from 5 years ago. That horrifying moment when your finger slips, and suddenly you've liked a post from 2018. Panic ensues. You scramble to unlike it, but it's too late. Everyone's seen it. We'll share personal anecdotes and how to gracefully navigate this unfortunate, but hilarious, moment. Why unfriending someone online feels like declaring war. Unfriending someone online seems innocent enough, but it's like declaring war in the social media world. We'll break down the awkward aftermath of hitting that unfriend button, why it's never really just a simple click, and how the drama unfolds afterward. How Twitter arguments always start over the dumbest things. Twitter arguments are an art form in themselves. Someone posts a mild opinion, and before you know it, it's trending, complete with 50+ tweets back and forth over the most trivial issues. We'll dig into why Twitter fights are always over the silliest things and how social media thrives on these hilarious exchanges. Phone and text communication. Social media. When your parents call instead of texting and it feels suspicious. Real-life social media. I remember the first time my parents called me, and I had a mini panic attack. Why are they calling me? I thought, is someone hurt? Did I forget something important? Turns out, they just wanted to tell me about a coupon they found at the store. Classic. Comedic twist, the tension of answering the phone, thinking it's an emergency, only to hear, "Hey, I was just wondering what brand of milk you buy." Why it resonates, generation gap and the discomfort with phone calls versus texting. Why millennials fear phone calls like they're ghosts. Real-life case study, millennials, myself included, are more likely to let a phone ring out than answer it. Why? Because texting is just easier. No need for small talk or awkward pauses. A phone call feels like an obligation. Comedic twist, the guilt you feel when your phone rings and you don't pick up, followed by the inner monologue of, "Is this the end of my social life?" Who dis? When you forgot to save someone's number. Relatable example, we've all been there. You get a text from an unknown number, and it's someone you should probably remember, but who exactly? Is it a coworker? An old classmate? A telemarketer? Comedic twist, the awkwardness of texting back, "Who is this?" Or, "Sorry, I lost your number." How a missed call turns into a full family investigation. Real-life social media. A missed call from a family member? It feels like a crime scene investigation. Who was it? Why didn't you answer? Are we in trouble? Suddenly, you're interrogated like you're in a spy thriller. Humor, the overanalysis of a missed call, complete with a recon mission to find out what it was about. When a text notification turns out to be spam. Comedic twist, the ultimate lucky winner text. You get excited for a split second, then reality hits, it's spam. Even worse is that it's a scam, asking you to click a suspicious link. Relatable example, the texts from Amazon or Apple asking you to verify your account because someone tried to use your card. Classic. Why typing haha feels more polite than LOL. Real life observation, it's a universal truth, LOL can feel insincere, while haha feels like you really enjoyed the joke. But why do we feel the need to make sure the other person knows we actually laughed at their meme? Comedic twist, typing haha like it's the official response to every joke, whether it's funny or not. Voicemails, who still leaves them and why? Funny social media voicemails are a mystery. Who leaves them? Why? It's like a relic from the past, and yet somehow, they're still around. Relatable example, the moment when someone leaves a voicemail and you're just left thinking, should I listen to this or pretend I didn't get it? When you accidentally send the wrong text to the wrong group. Real life story, the classic wrong text to the wrong group chat moment. You try to joke with your friend and accidentally send it to the family group chat. Suddenly, everyone's involved in the drama. Humor, how quickly you hit unsend, but it's already too late. Why people call when you're in the shower and never any other time. Funny observation, it's like they know. The moment you hop in the shower, your phone starts ringing off the hook. Why does this happen? Why not when you're sitting at your desk, ready for a call? Comedic twist, the dilemma of finishing your shower, getting out, and seeing a missed call from someone who never calls any other time. The anxiety of typing, and seeing someone stop typing back. Real life story, there's that heart-dropping moment when you're texting someone and you see them typing, but then, they stop. Suddenly, all you can think is, what went wrong? Did I say something dumb? Comedic twist, the mind games that follow anxiety, waiting, and then they finally respond, but it's just K. Relationships and communication, the hilarious truths we never talk about. Why we need to talk is the scariest sentence ever, that moment when you hear those words and suddenly your mind goes into overdrive. Is it a breakup talk? Did I do something wrong? We all know that sinking feeling. I once heard this line from my partner and spent the next 24 hours preparing for a dramatic breakup scene, only to be told it was about the dishes. Talk about emotional roller coasters. The art of arguing without actually saying you're arguing. Let's be real, relationships are all about those discussions where no one admits it's an argument. When you're both talking at the same time, both convinced you're right, but no one is raising their voice, yet. We've all been there, haven't we? A passive-aggressive comment here, a cold stare there, and suddenly it's an hour-long standoff without either party saying a word. Classic. When you ask, "Are you okay?" and they say, "I'm fine," this is the ultimate relationship riddle. When they say "I'm fine," and you know deep down that something is not fine, but they won't open up. It's like trying to decode an ancient script, except the only clue you have is the remote control being thrown at your face. The struggle of decoding your partner's texts. Let's talk texts. Why is it that when someone texts K instead of OK, you feel like the whole relationship is in jeopardy? The passive-aggressive fine in a text can completely change the trajectory of your day. Should you send the "Are you upset?" text, or just ignore it? Trust me, it's more complicated than any mystery novel. How compliments sometimes sound like insults. "You look less tired today." Compliments. The line between a sweet compliment and a backhanded insult is razor thin. You ever gotten the "you look less tired today" comment? "Oh yeah, thanks, I guess, for not looking like a zombie today." It's a compliment, but with a sprinkle of "you usually look like you're about to pass out." Why couples argue over where to eat every single time. No one has ever been more indecisive than a couple trying to decide where to eat. It's a saga that lasts longer than most romantic relationships. You'd think it's easy until it's not. The endless cycle of "I don't know, what do you want?" is a classic. When you read between the lines and still get it wrong, when they text, do whatever you want, and you go ahead and do something, only to realize that was not the answer they wanted. You know that feeling when you read between the lines so hard, you've practically entered an alternate dimension and you still get it wrong? The overuse of love you at the end of calls, even to your cable provider. Have you ever ended a conversation with your cable company and said love you without even realizing it? It's as if love you has become the automatic sign-off for everything, from family chats to customer service calls. Just another modern communication quirk. Why I'm almost ready means 45 more minutes. Let's break this down. I'm almost ready equals I haven't even started. This phrase will make you late every time. Every time. You'll be waiting for what seems like an eternity, only to find out that the almost was just a cruel joke. Family communication. The art of avoiding family WhatsApp groups. Social media. Picture this, you're added to a family WhatsApp group you never wanted to be in. Instant flood of messages, memes, birthday wishes, and the dreaded everyone must respond to this chain message. We've all been there, wondering how to gracefully exit or mute the group without causing World War III. Relatable case study. Share a funny family scenario where someone accidentally exited the group chat, only to be dragged back in with the obligatory "Did you leave us?" comment. Why parents use full names when they're mad at you. Social media. The dreaded moment when your parent uses your full name. That's when you know you've crossed the line. It's like your name is suddenly a weapon, wielded for maximum emotional impact. Example: why did my mom call me Jacob Robert Franklin today? I've only been gone for 5 minutes. What could I have possibly done? When relatives overcommunicate during holidays. Social media. There's always that one relative who texts all the time during the holidays. Are you coming over? Do you want pie or cake? I just sent you the recipe for eggnog again. Did you get it? Case study. Why do some families feel the need to overcommunicate, even when everyone is on the same page? Explore the chaos and humor in overthinking holiday plans. Why mom's okay feels like an insult. Social media. You've just told your mom something huge, and she responds with the most dreaded, emotionless word, okay. You can feel the disappointment radiating through the screen. How grandparents type everything in capital letters. Social media. Grandparents' texts are a mystery, everything in all caps. What are they yelling at you about? It's probably nothing, but their excitement or urgency seems to be matched only by their inability to use lowercase letters. Relatable case. Share a funny text exchange with a grandparent where the all caps message took you completely off guard. Call your aunt. The eternal family communication directive. Social media. That moment when your mom calls and says, "Have you called your aunt?" like you've committed a grave social crime. It's an annual ritual, one that never fails to pop up around holidays. Relatable example. Discuss the unspoken expectation of maintaining family ties, even when you'd rather binge watch Netflix in peace. The drama of giving bad news to your family. Social media. Delivering bad news to your family is like preparing for a Broadway performance. Will they cry? Get angry? Or pretend everything's fine until it's not? Share the comedic struggles of family drama and how to soften the blow. Why every family conversation starts with "back in my day." Social media. Every time you visit the family, someone inevitably starts a conversation with "back in my day," as if the world was in black and white and they were walking uphill both ways to school. Case study. Explore the nostalgia trend and how it can turn even the most mundane family gatherings into an old-timey lesson in history. How to survive a family group call without losing your mind. Social media. Family group calls are like a circus, chaotic, confusing, and full of unexpected surprises. Everyone talks over each other, nobody remembers why they called, and someone inevitably gets kicked out of the conversation. Example: tips on how to survive the mute button and keeping your sanity intact during family group calls. Why family meetings always go off topic within minutes. Social media family meetings are supposed to be about logistics and plans, but they somehow devolve into discussions about your uncle's new hat, Aunt Linda's obsession with gardening, and a heated debate about who ate the last cookie. Case study, show how family meetings are a microcosm of every family dynamic, always straying off topic but somehow still useful. Cross-cultural communication, navigating the hilarious world of global communication. Why Americans say hi, how are you? But don't want an answer. Let's kick things off with the classic American greeting. You've probably been there. Someone asks, how are you? And before you can say, I'm doing well, thanks for asking, they've already moved on. Why does this happen? In American culture, casual greetings often serve as a social ritual, not an actual inquiry into your well-being. We'll dive into how this works and share some funny anecdotes about the times when we accidentally broke this unspoken rule. When you realize yes doesn't always mean yes in other cultures. Picture this, you ask someone from another culture, can you come to the meeting tomorrow, and they answer, yes. But, guess what? They don't actually mean yes. In some cultures, a yes can be a polite form of acknowledgement rather than confirmation. We'll share stories of how this has led to some hilarious misunderstandings and how to avoid the trap of thinking yes means I agree everywhere. Why hand gestures can get you in trouble abroad. We all use hand gestures, but in some parts of the world, a simple wave or thumbs up can send the wrong message. Imagine casually giving a thumbs up in the wrong country, only to realize it's a sign of insult. In this segment, we'll explore the most misunderstood hand gestures worldwide and laugh at the awkward situations they've created. The struggle of understanding accents on a call. The beauty of technology allows us to connect with anyone, anywhere. But sometimes, the struggle of understanding accents over the phone can be real. Whether it's a thick British accent or a rapid-fire Spanish dialect, we'll share our funniest phone call moments where we misinterpreted every other word and ended up with a completely wrong order. How mispronouncing a word can change the entire meaning. Mispronouncing a word in another language or accent is like playing with fire. It can either spark a laugh or cause an international incident. From English to Spanish to Italian, we'll explore how one misplaced syllable has the potential to change a conversation in ways that you didn't expect. Why people apologize too much in some cultures. Some cultures have a built-in sorry machine. From the Japanese bow to the Indian apology for everything, we'll dive into why people from certain cultures apologize excessively and whether or not this habit has a place in other societies. Small talk, why it's a skill and a survival tactic. It's often said that small talk is an art form. In many cultures, it's a survival tactic in social settings. Ever find yourself stuck in an elevator with someone who's determined to ask about your day, your family, and your favorite sandwich? Small talk is sometimes awkward, often necessary, and always a key to smooth communication in cross-cultural situations. The art of navigating language barriers with just hand signals. When words fail, gestures come to the rescue. Whether you're pointing to an object, mimicking an action, or simply trying to convey that you need a toilet, hand signals are universal. We'll share some hilarious stories of misused hand signals that led to confusion, but also some creative ways to bridge language barriers without saying a word. When Google Translate makes you sound like a poet, or a fool. We've all been there, relying on Google Translate for something important, only for it to turn your perfectly normal sentence into a hilarious jumble of words. We'll laugh at the funniest Google Translate mishaps and discuss how to use this tool to avoid embarrassing blunders while traveling. The importance of saving face in communication around the world. In many cultures, saving face is crucial to maintaining dignity and respect. We'll explore how misunderstandings can arise when people from cultures with different views on saving face interact and how humor can help defuse the most awkward situations. Digital communication follies. When spell check betrays you mid-sentence. Real-life social media. Picture this, you're typing out a professional email, carefully crafting each word, when your spell check steps in. Did you mean ducking instead of something else? You stare at your screen in disbelief, panicking before hitting send. We'll dive into how autocorrect functions as both a friend and an enemy, with some funny, real-life examples of how it's ruined lives, or at least email correspondence. Key takeaway: spell check isn't always your friend. Always proofread, especially when you're sending important messages. Why typing in all caps makes you look angry? Ever wonder why that all caps message makes you look like you're screaming at someone? It's not just the message, it's the digital tone. Let's explore why typing in all caps can make your message come off as aggressive and how to use tone effectively in your digital communication. Example: imagine a professional social media message coming across as "I'm very interested in this opportunity," when you really meant to sound enthusiastic. Key takeaway: caps lock equals yelling. Use it sparingly. Email sign-offs: why everyone just says best. Is it just me, or does everyone sign off their emails with just best? We'll explore the mystery of email sign-offs, why we all default to best, or sometimes thanks, when we didn't really do anything worth thanking for, and how this tiny digital habit has become the norm across the world. How emojis can save or ruin your message. Emojis are our new universal language, but are they helping or hindering? A smiling emoji in a business email might seem casual, but it could come off as unprofessional. We'll look at how different cultures perceive emojis and how they can save your message, or completely ruin it. Example: that time you tried to end a professional text with a winking emoji and immediately regretted it. Key takeaway: emojis are powerful, but be careful how you use them. Context is key. The panic of sending an email without an attachment. We've all had that heart-stopping moment where you realize, mid-sentence, that you forgot to attach the document you just mentioned. We'll dive into strategies to avoid this common mistake and share some funny instances where this happened at the worst possible moment. When you accidentally hit send before finishing your sentence. There's no digital disaster like hitting send before finishing your message. We'll share some hilarious examples of incomplete thoughts and the awkward follow-up emails to try and save face after you've made a digital faux pas. Example: I'll get that report to you right away. Send. How social media messages always sound like sales pitches. Social media, the place where networking meets sales pitch. Have you ever tried to build a connection only to feel like you're reading a poorly written cold email? Let's break down the art of crafting a real connection and how to avoid sounding like a walking, talking sales brochure. Why online dating profiles are all about loving to travel. This one's for all the dating app users out there. Have you ever noticed how every profile says "I love to travel"? Let's explore why this is the most overused phrase in online dating, and what people really mean when they say it. Key takeaway: keep your dating profile unique and avoid cliches like "adventure awaits." The struggle of deciding whether to use a GIF or emoji in a reply. Should you go with the thumbs up emoji, or is a GIF more appropriate to convey your reaction? We'll discuss the eternal struggle of choosing between emojis, GIFs, and text responses. When you say too much in a text and get left unread. This is the modern version of awkward silence. You pour your heart into a text message and then get left unread. What does it mean? How do you move past it without feeling like you've overshared? We'll delve into digital communication etiquette and how to avoid over-communicating. Public speaking and face-to-face conversations. How public speaking turns everyone into a nervous sweater. Social media share the experience of getting up to speak at an event and suddenly feeling like you're about to break into a sweat. The sensation of being under the spotlight can make even the most confident person feel like they're about to pass out. Tip: breathing exercises and mental tricks to calm nerves before stepping onto the stage. When you forget the name of the person you're talking to. Social media, we've all been there. That awkward pause when you recognize someone, but for the life of you, you can't remember their name. Tip: a funny but effective way to deal with this: "Hey, it's been a while, remind me of your name again." How eye contact feels like a challenge during conversations. Social media ever had that moment where maintaining eye contact feels like you're staring into someone's soul? Eye contact is one of the most awkward aspects of speaking with people face to face, especially during uncomfortable silences. Tip: gently shift focus to their eyebrows or the bridge of their nose when eye contact feels too intense. Why small talk is the secret weapon in networking. Social media small talk gets a bad rap, but it's the unsung hero in making connections. Share a funny story about a small talk conversation that turned into something productive. Tip: embrace small talk as a strategy. It breaks the ice and often leads to deeper conversations later. The horror of realizing you've been talking too much in a meeting. Social media: the moment you realize you've been going on and everyone's staring at you like, please, for the love of all that's good, let it end. Tip: how to manage speaking time and create space for others in meetings. Practice brevity without cutting off important points. Why group presentations are always a mess. Social media: there's always that one person who goes off script, leaving everyone scrambling to catch up or looking lost on stage. Tip: coordinate your team and have a clear plan in place to avoid confusion during group presentations. The awkwardness of repeating yourself because someone didn't hear you. Social media: how frustrating is it when someone asks you to repeat yourself for the third time, even though your original answer was perfectly clear? Tip: stay calm, repeat with a smile, and if it happens too often, politely ask if they need a private conversation. When someone asks a question you weren't prepared for. Social media: the ultimate panic moment. Someone asks a question you're totally unprepared to answer. The awkward silence feels like it lasts forever. Tip: strategies for buying time. Example: that's a great question, let me think about that for a moment. How body language says more than words. Social media: body language can make or break a conversation. Ever had someone cross their arms and look at you with a furrowed brow? Instant clue they're not into what you're saying. Tip: learn the power of nonverbal communication and how to read it. Why nobody can handle awkward silences in conversations. Social media: the longest 5 seconds of your life when you're both sitting there, waiting for someone to speak, but neither one of you has anything to say. Tip: use a bit of humor or a quirky comment to break the silence and keep the conversation moving. Funny communication lessons. The difference between talking and actually saying something. We've all been there, rambling on and then realizing that we didn't actually say anything of substance. Why do we sometimes say things without meaning to communicate at all? It's like we've mastered the art of sounding busy but not really making an impact. We'll unpack this with some funny real-life examples from work meetings and social gatherings. Why listening is harder than talking. Have you ever tried to listen to someone talk, only to zone out halfway through? Well, it turns out listening might actually be harder than talking. It requires concentration, patience, and most importantly, the ability to keep your face neutral when you're really thinking about lunch. We'll share funny stories about the struggle of active listening in our fast-paced world. When you realize communication is 80% guesswork. Ever found yourself in a conversation where you're just trying to guess what the other person is really saying? We all rely on context, body language, and facial expressions to fill in the blanks. Communication, it seems, is often a game of fill in the gaps. But sometimes, those gaps are just too big. Let's laugh about the times we misinterpreted conversations in hilarious ways. The importance of tone even when saying good morning. Ever walked into the office and said, "Good morning," only to be met with a yeah, morning? Tone is everything. A greeting can go from cheerful to sarcastic with just a little change in tone. We'll explore how tone affects not only our daily interactions but also how our emotions play a role in how we communicate. Why "let me get back to you" is everyone's favorite escape line. If you're ever caught off guard by a question you don't know how to answer, just say, "Let me get back to you on that." It's the perfect escape line. Everyone uses it to buy time or avoid confrontation. But why does it work so well? We'll explore why this phrase has become the unofficial language of the modern workplace and social situations. When silence says more than words. Ever been in a room full of people and felt that uncomfortable silence? That silence often says more than any words ever could. Whether it's in a meeting or a conversation, we'll dive into the funny and sometimes awkward moments when silence is the loudest part of the communication. How we all speak differently to our pets. Whether you're guilty of baby talking to your dog or explaining your day to your cat, we all speak to our pets in a way we'd never speak to humans. It's a funny yet heartwarming look at how our tone and words shift when we talk to animals compared to people. Why people prefer texting over calling even for urgent matters. Texting has become the preferred communication method even when we're in a rush. Why do we avoid phone calls so much? We'll explore the hilarious reality of texting people for answers to questions you could easily ask in a 30-second phone call. How communication is just an art of managing misunderstandings. Let's face it, most conversations aren't about clarity, they're about managing misunderstandings. In the age of emoji-filled texts and autocorrect fails, we'll look at how often what we meant to say gets completely lost in translation. The journey from confusion to clarification is often more entertaining than we realize. When saying sorry becomes the only word you use. We've all been in those situations where sorry is the only word that seems to escape our lips. Whether it's for accidentally bumping into someone or interrupting, we all have our sorry moments. But when is it too much? And why do we feel the need to apologize for things that don't even require an apology? How a good conversation can save your day. Let's wrap it up with a heartwarming story of how one good conversation can turn your entire day around. Whether it's a chat with a friend or a meaningful talk with a colleague, the power of a good conversation is real and can make all the difference. Disclaimer. The content in this video is intended for humorous and entertainment purposes only. All scenarios, characters, and events depicted are exaggerated for comedic effect and do not reflect actual individuals or situations. Any resemblance to real-life communication mishaps is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage responsible communication both online and offline. The creators of this video are not liable for any accidental texting wars, office mishaps, or family drama that may arise from watching. Please enjoy the laughs responsibly. Food fails and kitchen laughs, hilarious cooking moments. Get ready to laugh out loud with these hilarious food fails and kitchen adventures. From cooking disasters to funny food experiments, these globally relatable moments will keep you entertained and smiling. Perfect for all ages and audiences. Multitasking mishaps. Okay, imagine this: you're on a conference call, talking about quarterly projections, and suddenly, your pasta water boils over. Your co-workers hear the whoosh sound, and you panic. Sorry about that, I'm just cooking dinner. Cue the awkward silence. It's one of those moments where you wish you could disappear into your screen. But alas, the smell of burnt pasta fills the room and the entire neighborhood. Struggling with timing and temperature control. One time, I was presenting a project while attempting to bake a chicken. I'm telling my boss about key metrics, and suddenly I realize, the oven is at 250 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Chicken, meat disaster. The cook to perfection vision quickly turned into a poultry brick. Classic multitasking fail, right? Call comedy. Then there's the classic scenario: you're in a call, trying to mute yourself while stirring a pot, and someone asks a question. Your unmute button works a second too late, and you start with a dramatic "sorry, what was that?" as your voice cracks from inhaling steam. We've all been there. But, instead of feeling embarrassed, I say, let's embrace the comedy of it all. The perils of cooking with spices while distracted. Alright, let's get into one of the most dangerous parts of multitasking, Cooking with spices. Ever tried to throw in some cumin while on a call and ended up adding way too much? Suddenly, you've got a dish that could set your tongue on fire, and your co-workers are still talking about the quarterly sales. Want to avoid these disasters in the future? Here's a thought: the next time you plan on cooking during a call, skip the complicated recipes. Stick to something safe. Maybe just boil some eggs. That way, at least you won't burn down the house while presenting your marketing strategy. The food delivery dream, and the nightmare. Everyone loves the ease of food delivery. Hit a few buttons, and boom, your favorite meal is on its way. But how many times have we been too excited only to find that the food arrived cold, soggy, or not quite as appetizing as the picture? Let's discuss some real-life delivery disasters and also explore why food delivery apps are booming, especially during busy times. One time, I ordered a pizza that looked like it had been tossed around the city before reaching me, yet I still ate it. Why? Because I was too tired to cook, and the craving was real. Relatable, right? Grandma's homemade meals, a culinary masterclass gone wrong. On the flip side, there's the allure of homemade meals. The nostalgia, the comfort, and the love that goes into every dish, except when it turns out to be a complete flop. What happens when your secret family recipe turns into a questionable science experiment? I'll tell you about my attempt to recreate Grandma's famous casserole. Spoiler alert, it was a disaster. Once, I tried to make a simple spaghetti bolognese and forgot to add the sauce. It ended up being spaghetti, with a side of regret. The leftover roulette: what did I just eat? We've all gone through the struggle of reimagining leftovers in an attempt to make them edible. Whether it's last night's pizza or some half-eaten pasta, leftover roulette is a real game. You never know if you're about to discover an accidentally gourmet creation or a tragic mess. I once tried to repurpose a leftover salad with random fridge ingredients. Did it taste good? No. But, hey, it was edible, and that's a win in my book. The truth behind kitchen fails. Let's talk about all the times you tried to impress your friends or family with a homemade dish that turned into a catastrophe. From burnt rice to raw chicken, the kitchen fails are real and often funny in hindsight. I'll walk you through my personal favorite fails and what I learned from each one. I once set off the smoke alarm by accidentally burning water. Yes, you heard that right, burnt water. It's a real thing, and I can prove it. How to make the best out of a kitchen disaster. Despite our kitchen failures, there's always room for improvement. I'll share some tips and tricks for improving your cooking skills, even if you're not the next Gordon Ramsay. We're talking about easy kitchen hacks and how to salvage a meal that may not have gone according to plan. When in doubt, add cheese. It fixes 99% of kitchen disasters. Potluck panic, when everyone brings the same dish. Have you ever been to a potluck where it was supposed to be a feast of diverse dishes but somehow everyone brought the same thing? It's like a buffet of 30 variations of potato salad. I'll share a story about a potluck disaster I attended, where all the guests thought someone else was bringing the chicken wings. Spoiler, it was just 30 containers of mashed potatoes. What do you do when life gives you too many mashed potatoes? It's an impromptu culinary challenge, and trust me, the result is hilarious. Salad spinner roulette: where will the lettuce land? Imagine trying to get your salad ready with one of those salad spinners that you're just not quite sure how to use. Halfway through, the lettuce goes flying, and now your kitchen looks like a crime scene. I'll tell you about the time I tried to spin lettuce for a party only to have it land in every corner of my kitchen. Could it be worse? Of course. You'll have to tune in to hear how the dressing ended up everywhere but on the salad. The adventures of spilled milk, cleanups that turned chaotic. We've all been there, that moment when you accidentally knock over a glass of milk, and it spills everywhere. But what happens when you slip on the spilled milk and cause a full-on chain reaction of disaster? From wet floors to broken eggs, this chaotic moment turned into an unforgettable cleanup. It's a disaster, yes, but a funny one because if you can't laugh at yourself, then what can you laugh at? The Battle of the Burnt Toast, a comedy roast. Let's talk toast. You start off with good intentions, the perfect golden brown toast. But no, somehow it always ends up charred into oblivion. And not just any burnt toast, the kind that smells like a fire alarm is going off, and you're racing around the house to make sure the smoke detector doesn't ruin the mood. The Battle of the Leftovers, Day 5 of Survival. Leftovers, we've all been there, wondering how many days in a row you can eat the same meal before you start questioning your life choices. Day 5 of Leftovers is like a survival show, but instead of dodging predators, you're trying to avoid food poisoning. I'll recount a time when I attempted to rebrand leftovers and ended up with an accidental fusion dish that no one should ever try at home. The curious case of the missing ingredients. Have you ever been in the middle of making a dish only to realize that you've completely forgotten an essential ingredient? You stand there, baffled, wondering where it went. Was it in the back of the pantry? Did you use it last week? Or worse, did you leave it out completely? I'll walk you through my journey of trying to make a cake, only to realize halfway through that I had no eggs. Spoiler alert, I didn't turn it into a vegan masterpiece, but I did get some laughs along the way. The curse of the sticky dough, baking fails you'll relate to. Ah, sticky dough. Is there anything more frustrating? You've got your recipe, your ingredients measured, and then bam, the dough sticks to everything. Your fingers, your countertop, and even your dog if you're not careful. It's like a culinary trap designed to make you question your life choices. I'll share the most relatable sticky dough story. Once, I tried to make cinnamon rolls and ended up with something resembling dough-covered rocks. My countertop looked like a crime scene, and I spent an hour scraping dough off my hands, my mixer, and every possible surface. Why does this happen? I'll break down the science of dough and tips to avoid making your kitchen a sticky battlefield. The egg crack fails, more shell than yolk. We've all cracked an egg and immediately regretted it. Half the shell ends up in the bowl, and you're left trying to salvage what's left. Or worse, you end up with a scrambled mess before the recipe even begins. I've learned that cracking eggs like a pro requires practice, or at least a strong sense of humor. I'll tell you about a time I cracked an egg into the batter, and my kitchen was practically swimming in tiny shell fragments. The worst part? I had to fish them out using only a spoon. But trust me, that little shell hack will change your life. The Great Cookie Dough Mystery, who ate it? The mystery of the missing cookie dough, a true culinary whodunit. You spend all day making the perfect dough, chilling it in the fridge, and come back to find it's half gone. Who ate it? Was it your sneaky roommate, your partner, or maybe the mysterious midnight cookie dough thief? Let's explore this age-old baking conundrum with some hilarious anecdotes from real-life cookie dough thefts and the lengths we go to protect our doughy creations. Spoiler alert, sometimes, the thief is you. The Great Flour Explosion, Baking Disasters in Action. Flour explosions are a real hazard in the kitchen. Whether it's opening a bag of flour like a rookie or trying to mix dry ingredients at full speed, flour can and will go everywhere. It's like an untold law of the kitchen. I'll recount the time I mixed flour in my mixer without the lid, turning my kitchen into an instant snowstorm. And yes, I'm still finding flour in places I didn't know existed. Let's talk about how to avoid these whiteout situations and some creative ways to clean up the aftermath. The Great Spaghetti Slip, Kitchen Mishaps in Slow Motion. Who hasn't slipped on a puddle of water or an errant tomato slice in the kitchen? Spaghetti slips are some of the funniest and most relatable kitchen accidents. You're walking, you trip, and suddenly you're on the floor with spaghetti in your hair. It's like something out of a slapstick comedy. Let me share my most memorable slip, right after boiling a pot of spaghetti. I stepped on a stray noodle, and the next thing I knew, I was sliding across the kitchen floor in slow motion. We all know that kitchen mishaps can be like a circus, but they're definitely part of the fun. The mystery of the smoking oven. The smoking oven, a baking disaster in real time. Nothing says panic like a puff of smoke pouring out of your oven mid-bake. Is it your cookies? Your cake? Or did you just forget to clean the oven for the last 3 months? Whatever the reason, the smoke alarm goes off, your pets panic, and your perfect dessert turns into a charred mess. I'll recount how I managed to create the perfect smoke cloud while baking a cake, turning the kitchen into an unintentional sauna. I'll also give you tips on keeping your oven in tip-top shape and avoiding the dreaded smoke signal while baking. The never-ending dishwashing cycle, comedy in the kitchen. Picture this, you've just finished a meal, and the kitchen is a battlefield of dirty dishes. You clean up, but as soon as you turn around, there's a new set of dishes waiting for you. Why does it feel like the dishes multiply? Is it a conspiracy? Let's explore the never-ending dishwashing struggle we all know too well and laugh at how we somehow think one more plate won't lead to a mountain of suds. Personal stories of trying to avoid doing dishes, only to end up with a sink full of plates after every meal. The Rice Cooker Chronicles, Adventures in Overflows. The rice cooker. It promises ease and convenience, but sometimes it delivers a hot mess. Ever had the rice cooker boil over and flood your kitchen with sticky rice? Let's dive into the trials and tribulations of cooking rice perfectly and how it feels like a battle between you and that tiny appliance. A tale of making a perfectly timed pot of rice, only for it to overflow and ruin your kitchen decor. Oops. Tiny Kitchen Chronicles, Cooking in Tight Spaces. Not all of us have the luxury of a spacious kitchen. The struggle of cooking in tight spaces where every move feels like a dance routine. Let's share the funniest and most frustrating moments of squeezing between counters, avoiding that open drawer, and trying not to knock anything over while making your dinner. Struggling to make a simple meal in a tiny kitchen and knocking things over, trying to juggle utensils, ingredients, and a hot stove in a cramped space. Weird food combos that work, and some that don't. You know those times when you think, hey, I'll try something new, and then you end up with a bizarre food combo that actually tastes surprisingly good? Or, alternatively, the ones that were just wrong. Let's discuss some of the most shocking combos we've dared to try, and those we will never try again. A surprising food combination that went viral on social media and the hilarious reactions it garnered. When food labels confuse you, cooking with mystery ingredients. What does best before even mean? Or is this spice past its prime? Ever been bamboozled by food labels that make no sense? Join me as I explore the mystery behind food packaging and those times when you pick up an ingredient with absolutely no idea what to do with it. Is it still good, or should I toss it? Buying a mystery spice blend with no idea what it actually is and attempting to cook with it, only to be surprised by the results, or lack thereof. When recipes say easy but mean impossible. Just a few simple ingredients and 15 minutes to prep, they say. But 45 minutes later, you're drowning in flour, butter, and an unrecognizable mess. This is the true story of when easy recipes end up being the most complicated thing you've ever attempted. Microwave madness. Ever put something in the microwave for 30 seconds, and when you take it out, it's either burning hot or completely frozen? The microwave, a true enigma. Funny, I once microwaved a bag of popcorn for the recommended 2 minutes, only for half of the kernels to be uncooked and the other half to be ash. I swear, the microwave knew I had no idea what I was doing. Quick research shows that over 60% of microwave users don't read the instruction manual properly. No wonder they get so confused. Oven surprise. Have you ever opened your oven, expecting to find a roast chicken, only to discover a forgotten casserole from last week's dinner party? That's right, your oven doubles as the world's worst storage unit. Funny, I once baked cookies and completely forgot about them until I smelled smoke. The cookies were so burnt they could double as coasters now. But hey, at least I know the oven works for that purpose. When the timer lies. Timers, those sweet little devices that promise precision, until they're the ones that lie. Who hasn't set a timer for 10 minutes, only to discover that your food is either burnt beyond recognition or still raw in the middle? A relatable moment: I tried to bake a cake, and the timer said 30 minutes. I ended up with what could only be described as a rubber pancake. Did I mention I'm not a professional chef? Following recipes that still go wrong. Ah, the joy of recipes. You follow every step meticulously, but somehow, the end result is nothing like the photo. The sauce was supposed to be creamy, but it turned out chunky. The cake was supposed to rise, but it sank like the Titanic. Personal experience: I once followed a recipe for spaghetti bolognese to the letter, but somehow, the bolognese turned into a mushy disaster. Lesson learned: it's not always the recipe's fault. The Great Cookie Conundrum. Finally, why do all my cookies stick together? I've followed the recipe, used the best ingredients, and yet my cookies always end up in one giant blob. It's like they're in love and can't stand to be apart. A funny observation: some say it's the weather that makes cookies stick together, but I think the cookies just want to share the love, way too much love. Common disclaimer: this content is created purely for entertainment purposes and is suitable for all ages. All scenarios are dramatized. Please follow safe cooking practices and enjoy responsibly. Hilarious and heartwarming pet moments that will make you smile. Get ready for funny and charming pet moments. From dogs wearing costumes to cats chasing laser pointers, these adorable antics will leave you laughing. Whether it's playful pups, curious kitties, or hilarious pet reactions, these heartwarming moments are guaranteed to brighten your day. Watch the cutest, most relatable pet content that will make you fall in love with animals all over again. Pets making new friends. Meet Max, the golden retriever who met a baby duck for the first time. Spoiler alert, it was love at first quack. From cautious sniffs to playful hops, their unlikely friendship had everyone in stitches. Social media viral trends showcasing interspecies friendships, such as dogs meeting kittens or cats meeting rabbits. These moments captivate global audiences and rack up millions of views. Have you ever introduced a new pet to your household and held your breath, hoping for the best? That blend of suspense and hilarity is universal. Dogs happily wagging their tails at their owners. Remember the soldier who returned home to their ecstatic dog? That's the kind of tail-wagging joy we're talking about. Did you know that a dog's wagging tail can communicate different emotions? It's like Morse code but fluffier. Cats helping with work. My cat once sent an email by walking across my keyboard. I'm not saying it was a masterpiece, but it got a better response than my last report. Keep a decoy keyboard handy if you're working from home. Your cat will love it, and your actual keyboard will stay intact. Pets cuddling up for a nap. Picture a puppy and kitten snuggling together for a nap. Now imagine the same scene with a baby goat thrown in. Instant serotonin boost. From Japan's cat cafes to the global rise of pet-friendly workplaces, pet naps are a vibe everyone can relate to. Pets giving kisses. One listener shared how their dog mistook whipped cream for their face and gave them the sloppiest kiss of all time. Dogs and cats reacting to their favorite toys. You unwrap a brand new squeaky toy, and your dog's eyes light up as if you've just handed them the moon. Now imagine a cat's cautious curiosity as they bat at a feather toy, feigning disinterest but secretly thrilled. These moments are comedic gold and they're relatable for pet parents worldwide. I once gave my dog a new plushie that had a bacon scent. Big mistake. He didn't let it go for a week and even took it to bed. My cat, on the other hand, is an aristocrat who only acknowledges toys after a 3-day waiting period. Cats basking in the sunlight. Ever noticed how cats can make the simplest moments look Instagram-worthy? A cat lounging in a sunbeam is the epitome of serenity and the perfect stress buster. Dogs running in fields or parks. There's a reason why slow-motion videos of dogs running in fields are internet classics. The sheer joy on their faces is contagious. My Labrador loves our local dog park. Watching her sprint around, tail wagging, is better than any comedy show. Her signature move? A mid-run somersault that leaves everyone laughing. Pets giving hugs. Pets showing affection, whether it's a dog's enthusiastic embrace or a cat's subtle nuzzle, are moments of pure love. These interactions often become cherished memories for pet owners. Studies show that hugging your pet can reduce stress levels by 40%. So, go ahead and hug your furry friend. Dogs and their favorite stuffed animals. Have you ever noticed how dogs form a deep attachment to certain stuffed toys? From cuddling with them during naps to guarding them as if they're treasures, these moments are nothing short of adorable. Take, for instance, Max, a golden retriever from Ohio, who carries his teddy bear everywhere, even on walks. Studies suggest that dogs' love for stuffed animals mirrors their nurturing instincts, making it a relatable and heartwarming behavior. Pets engaging in cute playful chases. One of the purest joys of pet ownership is watching cats and dogs chase each other around the house. These playful pursuits often resemble a cartoon come to life, complete with dramatic skids and mid-air leaps. Picture Bella, a tabby cat from New Delhi, engaging in a gentle game of tag with her canine buddy Bruno. Their owner's viral video amassed over 1 million views, proving that such moments resonate globally. Pets reacting to music or singing. Did you know that animals can have strong opinions about music? Some howl along, some tilt their heads in curiosity, and others even paw at the source of the sound. We'll recount the tale of Buddy, a Labrador from Rio de Janeiro, who sings to his owner's guitar solos. These antics not only entertain but also highlight the deep bond between pets and their humans. Pets helping with gardening. Gardening with pets is a double-edged sword. While they might help dig holes or supervise planting, they're just as likely to trample the flowers or run off with a gardening glove. Meet Coco, a French bulldog from Johannesburg, whose misadventures in the garden have become a local legend. These moments showcase the hilarity of pets' innocent curiosity. Dogs greeting their owners after a long day. There's nothing quite like the enthusiastic welcome of a dog who's missed you all day. Whether it's wagging tails, happy barks, or joyful zoomies, these greetings are sure to melt your heart. Pets talking to their owners. Let's kick things off with the phenomenon that has us all in stitches: pets talking to their owners. Whether it's a dog that mimics your "I love you" or a cat that chirps in protest when you're late with dinner, these moments are comedy gold. Meet Max, the golden retriever who says "I'm hungry" every time his owner opens the fridge. Capture these moments on video. Cats chasing laser pointers. If comedy were an Olympic sport, cats chasing laser pointers would take gold every time. There's nothing more hilarious than a cat's unrelenting quest to catch the dot. Pets reacting to treats. The sheer joy and chaos that ensues when pets get their favorite treats. Bella, the beagle, howls in excitement every time she gets her peanut butter snack. The treat-related excitement often leads to hilarious stumbles or acrobatics. Pets playing in water. Whether it's a dog splashing in a kiddie pool or a cat cautiously swatting at a running faucet, pets and water are a recipe for hilarity. Dogs doing the pool zoomies or cats accidentally falling into bathtubs often rack up millions of views online. Remember, the wetter the pet, the funnier the content. Pets sleeping in cute positions. Finally, let's talk about pets and their unbelievable ability to sleep in the most bizarre, yet adorable, positions. Ever caught your dog sleeping upside down with their tongue out or your cat folded like a pretzel? Share your stories and pictures in the comments below. Studies show that pet sleeping positions can reveal their personalities. For example, a dog sleeping on its back often feels completely safe and secure. Disclaimer: this video is intended for general entertainment and showcases funny and heartwarming pet moments. All content complies with community guidelines, ensuring it is family-friendly and suitable for viewers of all ages. No animals were harmed during the filming of this video. Please ensure your pet's safety and comfort when engaging in activities featured in this content. Always supervise pets when they are interacting with toys or other pets. Viewer discretion is advised to ensure safe and enjoyable experiences with your pets. Hilarious gym fails and relatable fitness struggles we've all been through. Get ready to laugh at gym stereotypes, awkward yoga poses, dieting disasters, and fitness gadget fails. This video captures the most relatable workout struggles and funny moments we've all experienced on our fitness journeys. Welcome. This podcast that proves fitness isn't just about six-packs and treadmills, it's also about laughs and life lessons. Whether you're a gym regular or someone who counts lifting pizza slices as exercise, this show is for you. Today, we're diving into the hilariously awkward and oh so relatable world of fitness. From gym stereotypes to dieting disasters, get ready for a workout, for your funny bone. Along the way, we'll uncover the quirks, blunders, and downright bizarre moments that make every fitness journey uniquely entertaining. Gym stereotypes. Who's who in the zoo of your local gym? Let's explore. The selfie enthusiast, their primary workout involves flexing in front of the mirror and finding the perfect angle. Did they even lift, bro? They might spend more time editing their selfies than actually exercising. The equipment hoarder, you'll find them guarding multiple machines as if they're protecting the national treasure. Heaven forbid you ask to work in a set. The oversharer, from their protein shake recipes to personal life dramas, they're here to talk more than to train. Their stories are longer than your treadmill session. The sound effects specialist, grunting, moaning, and shouting their way to glory, or just trying to scare the rest of us away. That one time I asked someone to share a bench, and they responded with, "I'm doing circuits, for the next hour." Plus, let's not forget the wannabe trainer who offers unsolicited advice. Their tips are usually as questionable as their form. Workout fails. Fitness journeys are paved with good intentions and epic fails. The treadmill tango, ever seen someone catapult off a treadmill mid-run? It's slapstick comedy at its finest. If only treadmills came with airbags. Weightlifting woes, dropping dumbbells, or worse, your ego, while trying to impress your gym crush. Bonus points if it's captured on the gym CCTV. Yoga blunders, from splitting pants to falling over during the simplest pose, yoga class is where humility is learned. The downward dog can quickly turn into a downward spiral. Viral videos of gym mishaps prove one thing: we're all human, and sometimes, hilariously so. Remember the guy who tried to bench press more than he could handle and ended up pinned under the barbell? Relatable and unforgettable. Dieting struggles. The road to healthy eating is paved with temptations. The cheat day spiral, one cheat meal becomes a cheat weekend, and before you know it, you're back to square one. Just one donut is a dangerous phrase. Salad sadness, when you realize that lettuce isn't as filling as it looks. And those healthy dressings are just sugar in disguise. The overzealous meal preppers, spending an entire Sunday preparing meals that you'll be sick of by Wednesday. Not to mention the Tupperware apocalypse in your kitchen. That sinking feeling when you've meal prepped chicken and broccoli for the week but your coworker walks in with pizza. Suddenly, your clean eating feels like punishment. Fitness gadgets gone wrong. Not every gadget is your friend. Smartwatch overload, when your watch tells you to stand up, during a Zoom call. Or worse, mid-movie marathon. Resistance bands rebellion, those stretchy bands can snap back with vengeance if you're not careful. Let's just say they have a mind of their own. The infamous ab-roller, more like ab-torture, am I right? It's the gadget that turns dreams of six-packs into nightmares. I once bought a vibration belt. It didn't help my ABS, but my cat enjoyed sleeping on it. And don't even get me started on those electric muscle stimulators. Home workout distractions. Working out at home has its own set of challenges. Pets as personal trainers, cats sitting on your yoga mat or dogs trying to join your planks. They're adorable, but also workout saboteurs. Family interruptions, kids turning your dumbbells into toys. Spouses asking for just a minute of your time, every 5 minutes. Zoom fitness classes, accidentally unmuting during class and everyone hears you gasping for air. Or worse, your pet barking at the instructor. My dog once mistook my resistance band for a chew toy mid-workout. Spoiler alert, I lost that battle. Then there was the time my toddler decided to join me for push-ups, on my back. Awkward yoga poses. Let's start with the art of yoga. Yoga is meant to bring harmony, but some poses bring hilarity instead. Take the downward-facing dog that becomes a face-planting dog or the happy baby that looks like an infant in an existential crisis. Here's a friend of mine tried the bird of paradise and ended up looking more like a flamingo of disaster. Share your yoga fails with us in the comments. The funnier, the better. According to a recent survey, 42% of yoga practitioners have tried and failed a pose spectacularly at least once. Embrace it. It's part of the journey. Misheard gym advice. Picture this, a trainer shouts, "Engage your core," and someone's core belief system suddenly feels attacked. Or the classic, "Don't forget to breathe," and a newbie thinks they've been holding their breath the entire session. Gym advice can sound like riddles, and interpreting them literally leads to pure comedy gold. One gym goer mistook plank for plank of wood and spent the session pretending to be part of a pirate ship crew. Fitness fashion faux pas. Gym fashion. Who remembers those neon leotards from the 80s? They're making a comeback, but not in the way you'd expect. Today, it's all about impractical trends. Think of compression leggings that compress nothing or gym gloves that look more suited for space exploration than lifting weights. Real life. I once saw someone wear a fedora to spin class. Commitment to style? Absolutely. Commitment to practicality? Not so much. The new year, new me crowd. Every January, gyms worldwide brace for the invasion of well-intentioned but clueless newcomers. These brave souls attack fitness with the zeal of someone who's never seen a treadmill before. From hilariously wrong equipment usage to motivational quotes taken a bit too literally, they're a source of endless amusement. Someone once used a squat rack as a code rack. Hey, it's multitasking. Overzealous personal trainers. Lastly, let's talk about trainers. We love them, but some take their job a bit too seriously. Picture a trainer screaming, "One more rep," while you're already on the floor, questioning life choices. They mean well, but sometimes their enthusiasm deserves its own workout routine. A trainer once insisted I push through the pain. I was tying my shoelaces. Gym equipment mysteries. Remember the first time you saw the Smith machine? I thought it was a medieval torture device. The manual might as well have been written in hieroglyphics. Relatable newbies trying to figure out a rowing machine often look like they're auditioning for Titanic reenactments. Ask a trainer or watch a quick YouTube tutorial. Bonus, you'll avoid becoming the gym's unofficial comedian of the day. Fitness class misadventures. My first spin class felt like a Tour de France on steroids. The instructor yelled, "Push harder," and I almost pushed myself off the bike. A friend once tried Zumba, only to realize midway through that salsa isn't just a dip. Have you ever walked into the wrong fitness class? Let me know your most awkward gym stories in the comments. Healthy recipe disasters. I once attempted a quinoa kale smoothie. Spoiler, it tasted like lawn clippings. Instagram recipes make healthy cooking look easy. Reality. Your oven's on fire, and your dish looks like abstract art. The one more rep myth. Ever heard a trainer say, "Just one more rep"? That's trainer code for "I'll stop when you collapse." I once pushed for one more rep on leg day and ended up walking like a newborn giraffe for 3 days. Gym etiquette blunders. Examples, From hogging machines to forgetting deodorant, we've all seen those people in the gym. Someone once sang loudly during their treadmill run. Folks, we're here to lift weights, not spirits. Respect shared spaces, and please, wipe down your equipment, it's not your personal sweat souvenir. Fitness app overachievers. Meet Kevin, who religiously closes his Apple Watch rings every day, even if it means jogging in circles around his living room at 11:59 p.m. Key insight: overachieving with fitness apps can lead to hilarious, unintended consequences like forgetting to enjoy the workout itself. Humorous take: Kevin's dedication is so intense that his dog started exercising too, just to keep up with him. The protein shake experiment. Maria once mixed kale, peanut butter, and cayenne pepper in her protein shake to boost metabolism. Spoiler alert, it tasted like regret. Key insight: experimentation is great, but some combinations are better left unblended. Humorous take: Maria's shake was so bad, even her blender protested. Healthy snack overindulgence. John devoured an entire bag of organic kale chips while watching Netflix, only to discover he'd consumed more calories than a cheeseburger. Key insight: moderation is key, even with healthy snacks. Humorous take: who knew kale could be so sneaky? The social media fitness guru. Satirical: ever noticed how everyone becomes a fitness expert after one good gym selfie? Key insight: social media can be a great motivator, but not every tip is gospel. Humorous take: if ABS are made in the kitchen, why is this guru always posting from their car? Gym crush embarrassments. Mike tried to impress his gym crush by lifting too much weight. Let's just say the weights won. Key insight: authenticity beats bravado every time. Humorous take: pro tip, impress your crush by not landing under a barbell. The I don't sweat myth. People claiming they don't sweat at the gym are either lying or not trying hard enough. Key insight: sweat is just your fat crying, embrace it. Humorous take: not sweating at the gym? Congratulations, you're officially a houseplant. Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. All scenarios, characters, and events depicted are either fictional or dramatized for humor. We encourage safe and proper exercise practices, and no harm or injury is intended in the making or portrayal of these situations. Always consult a fitness professional or healthcare provider before starting any workout or diet plan. Viewer discretion is advised for those sensitive to humor and light-hearted commentary. Lost in translation: hilarious misadventures of a global traveler. Discover laugh-out-loud travel tales in this comedy podcast. From airport mishaps to cultural faux pas, explore relatable and hilarious moments that make every journey unforgettable. Perfect for wanderlust-filled humor seekers worldwide. Greetings. Welcome to Lost in Translation, Hilarious Misadventures of a Global Traveler, the comedy podcast that takes you on a rib-tickling journey through the highs and lows of travel. Have you ever had your luggage flagged for being overweight or mistakenly offended a local with an innocent gesture? Maybe you faced a language barrier so ridiculous that you ended up ordering octopus instead of a salad. This podcast is for anyone who's ever laughed through the chaos of traveling. Whether you're a seasoned explorer or a homebody dreaming of distant lands, get ready for belly laughs, eye rolls, and maybe a cringe or two. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's dive into these outrageous travel escapades that you won't believe actually happened. Lost in translation, hilarious misunderstandings while traveling. Ever tried to order a vegetarian dish only to receive a plate of exotic meats? Imagine being in Italy and confidently asking for pepperoni pizza, only to be served a pie covered in bell peppers. Or that time in Germany when I asked for Wasser, water, but got sparkling water because I didn't specify still. My favorite? The time in Thailand when I thought I was ordering a mango smoothie and ended up with a bowl of spicy mango salad instead. Pro tip: miming works wonders, though it's no guarantee you won't still get something weird. Airport struggles, From overweight luggage to security shenanigans. Airports are a playground for Murphy's Law. Like when I confidently zipped my carry-on at home, only to have it explode open at security because I forgot I'd overstuffed it with souvenirs. Or the time I accidentally left a jar of honey in my bag, setting off alarms and triggering a lecture from a TSA agent about liquid limits. And who could forget my most embarrassing moment, getting my name mispronounced during a boarding call and almost missing my flight because I didn't recognize it. The mystery of missing hotel towels, do they really vanish? Hotels are magical black holes for belongings. Like the time I left my favorite travel pillow on the bed, only to have housekeeping clean it up into oblivion. And what's with the single slipper always missing from those provided pairs? Once, I even woke up to find a room service tray from someone else's order outside my door, mystery meal included. If these towels are vanishing, they're probably partying with all the socks the dryer eats at home. Budget travel fails, when you thought it was a deal, but it wasn't. Ever booked a boutique guest house only to discover it was boutique in size like a broom closet? My most memorable fail was a deluxe sleeper bus in Vietnam, which turned out to be a glorified recliner crammed into a neon-lit party bus. And then there was the beachfront villa in Bali where the beachfront view was a construction site. Lesson learned, read all the reviews, not just the ones with 5 stars. Souvenir shopping gone wrong, who buys that? Once, I bought a sombrero in Mexico, only to struggle fitting it in the overhead bin during my flight. Another time, I snagged an authentic Venetian mask that looked more like a cheap Halloween prop. The piece de resistance. A t-shirt in Tokyo with English text that read, "I have many happy because pizza." Sure, it made no sense, but that's why I love it. Food adventures, or misadventures, trying exotic dishes with unexpected results. Food is where the heart, and the stomach aches, of travel lie. Like when I tried escargot in France but ended up gagging because I didn't know how to eat it properly. Or the time I accidentally ordered blood sausage in Spain, thinking it was a fancy name for chorizo. Oh, and let's not forget the unforgettable incident in India when I underestimated the spiciness of a mild curry. Let's just say my taste buds have never been the same. Travel fashion disasters, from socks and sandals to overpacking coats for the tropics. We've all made fashion faux pas while traveling. I once packed 6 different jackets for a spring trip to Europe, only to sweat through most of it because I didn't check the weather. And don't even get me started on the time I wore brand new hiking boots on a trail in Iceland, blisters galore. The cherry on top? Forgetting to pack enough underwear and having to wash a pair in a hostel sink. Awkward selfies, posing perfectly in front of famous landmarks. Travel photography is an art but also a comedy. Ever tried to get the perfect sunset selfie, only to accidentally activate video mode and record 10 minutes of awkward fumbling? Then there's the classic tourist move, holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, except my arm placement was off, so it looked like I was just flailing at the sky. Pro tip, find a friend who knows how to frame a shot or embrace the hilarity of doing it all wrong. Tourist vs. Local, recognizing you're doing it all wrong. One of my funniest moments was in South Korea when I sat on the floor in a restaurant without realizing I was supposed to remove my shoes. The waitstaff's bemused smiles still haunt me. Then there was my attempt at haggling in Morocco, where I ended up paying more because I didn't understand the currency exchange. Being a tourist is all about making mistakes and having a laugh, mostly at yourself. Wildlife encounters, from monkeys stealing snacks to seagulls grabbing ice cream. If you think wildlife encounters are serene, think again. In Australia, I was chased by an overly curious kangaroo while holding a picnic basket. In Kenya, a zebra photobombed my safari shot and then sneezed on my camera lens. And my personal favorite? That time in Costa Rica when a sloth tried to high-five me while I screamed in delight and terror. The currency conundrum, math failures abroad. Ever paid $100 for a bottle of water because you didn't understand the exchange rate? In Prague, I once confused Czech crowns for euros and ended up tipping a waiter half my day's budget. Let's just say he smiled more than usual. Navigating unfamiliar currencies can turn a simple snack purchase into a math Olympiad. Public transport drama, the joys of getting lost. Trying to navigate public transport in a foreign city is a rite of passage. Like that time in Bangkok, where I ended up on the wrong boat and got an accidental tour of the Chao Phraya River. Or the time I mistook the subway exit in New York and emerged 15 blocks from where I intended. Getting lost is frustrating in the moment but oh so funny later. The universal plug saga, powerless and panicked. Travelers know the pain of forgetting an adapter. I once spent a night in a dimly lit Parisian hostel because my phone charger didn't fit the local socket. Who needs electricity when you can admire your phone as a very expensive paperweight? The one where the GPS betrayed me. Technology is a lifesaver until it's not. My GPS once led me to a hidden gem in Italy that turned out to be a deserted alley. Another time, I followed directions to a popular restaurant in Istanbul only to find it permanently closed. Lesson learned, always double check before trusting technology. The overenthusiastic tour guide. Ever been on a tour where the guide takes their role way too seriously? In Egypt, my guide insisted I try every spice in a market. Spoiler, sniffing curry powder doesn't end well. Their enthusiasm is endearing, but sometimes you just want to explore at your own pace. Misadventures on two wheels. Renting a bike in Amsterdam sounded fun until I discovered I couldn't brake properly and ended up in a canal. And who could forget the time in Bali when my scooter decided to stop working in the middle of nowhere? Let's just say walking the bike back was great cardio. The infamous packing fail. Packing light is an art I've yet to master. Like the time I brought 7 pairs of jeans for a beach holiday or forgot essentials like underwear for a week-long trip. Pro tip: always triple check your packing list or enjoy shopping for overpriced basics abroad. The group tour struggle. If you've ever traveled in a group, you know the struggle of keeping everyone happy. I once spent hours at a museum because one friend was a history buff, while the rest of us plotted our escape. Group travel is a delicate balance of compromise and suppressed sighs. The airport announcements that never help. Have you ever been at an airport, heard your name called on the PA system, and felt your soul leave your body? It happened to me in Frankfurt when I misread my gate number and had to sprint through the terminal. Pro tip: double check before you relax at the wrong gate. The souvenir that got confiscated. Customs has a way of making you question your choices. I once brought back a jar of local honey, only to have it confiscated at the airport. The real heartbreak? Watching the agent confiscate my hard-earned souvenir while explaining, "No liquids allowed." Disclaimer: this video is intended for entertainment purposes only. The content highlights humorous travel experiences and miscommunications that are common when navigating foreign cultures and languages. Any depictions of language or cultural misunderstandings are presented in a light-hearted manner, and we aim to promote cross-cultural appreciation and understanding. We do not endorse or encourage stereotypes or offensive behavior. Viewer discretion is advised, as certain content may be exaggerated for comedic effect. Always approach travel and cultural exchanges with respect and an open mind.